Hello, Internet, and welcome to the official Level 2 podcast episode. I don't know what it is because it's E3 episode. So here is basically this week. My name's Keegan. I'm one half Level 2 Gamers. Hanging out with Tom, the other half Level 2 Gamers. How you doing?
What it do?
It do? I don't know.
It does something.
It does something.
I don't know.
But this is our follow-up. We just watched all the E3 things. We actually watched, as of recording this, Nintendo just happened. So if there's things announced at Treehouse, we're not going to see them. But rumor is there's a couple. There's a couple things that are going to be there.
We talked about time.
But we're going to go through and kind of same order we did. If you watched our predictions, this is going to be the same order that is. If you didn't, click, there will be a little doop thing up here. I can't remember which side it shows up on.
It's my side.
It's your side?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right
It'll show up over there. And you can see what our predictions were, because we kind of know and kind of don't know. To be fair, we're going to preface that.
I kind of have been, as I was going through the conferences, I was writing like, I think I got this right.
Yeah.
And I would go back to my notes, but the problem was because we had like 8 selections.
We had duplicates.
Yeah, we had duplicates. So I think I can talk to it roughly, but as for like a point system, no fucking idea.
So buckle up, strap on, strap in, because this is going to be a long podcast, I have a feeling, because there is a lot to talk about, because E3, a lot of games announced, over 100 games so far, 40-something of them from Microsoft, but we're going to start with Sony. So let's start with the pre-show announcements, which I think were actually kind of better than the some of the show announcements. You were kind of trying
to keep me filled in on that stuff. I was by the skin of my teeth watching that conference.
So me and David were watching. I was watching Kind of Funny's pre-coverage, which is what I did for a lot of them to kind of see what their thoughts were, and I'd flip between them, IGN, and GameSpot because I love hearing other people's opinions on things, and when the conferences were over, I'd watch those again, just kind of.
I mostly stuck with IGN. They seem to have a solid stream, and
IGN is
they gush
the big
over
one.
Almost everything, but
they're the big ones.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So the pre-show. First things first. There's 2 VR games that were announced.
Yeah,
one.
I'm wondering why they left these out of the main conference.
I
mean, it's nice for them to put them in the pre-show,
which is I would. Okay, the 2 games are Super Hot VR and a game called Spark, which is like a Tron style.
We talked about it previously.
Kind of like Hollow Ball. Mm-hmm. That was announced. I kind of wish they'd switched those 2 games, or at least Super Hot was something else in the conference, mainly because I feel like a couple of games in the conference, and we'll talk about what they were. I feel like they weren't as exciting as Super Hot, or as hyped as Super Hot.
I think you're right. I think without, like, the Super Hot had this kind of like, okay, it's been established that it's a wonderful game. Everyone's waiting for it. It's in that same category as Elite Dangerous as far as like one of the most requested games for PSVR, and they could have really milked that a little more if they wanted.
Because it's
a missed opportunity by Sony.
Highly anticipated.
Yeah.
So the other games that were announced, Ninokuni was announced.
Can we stop for a second and just say Super Hot's coming to VR?
Nah, I guess.
I haven't played it. You've played it, right?
No.
You haven't? But you've seen it?
I played non-VR. I've seen people play in VR.
Okay.
I've played non-VR. I've seen people play in VR.
Anyway.
Well, let's get into it. If you don't know, because I just want to spend too much time on these pre-show ones because I want to get into the meat of the show. But if you don't know it, basically it's time-based. So when you move, time moves. So if there's somebody shooting you, you've got to take these guys out that are attacking you, whether they're punching you, shooting you, hitting you with the sword. So when you move, you got to predict your movement. So say there's a guy in front of you that shot a bullet at you. There's a guy over here that's running that's closer. The bullet's going to move quicker than the guy running at you because bullets are quicker than people. Mm-hmm. Little fun fact.
Physics-based knowledge drop there.
So if you want to pull a Matrix and like dodge that, or you could shoot the guy before he shoots, or you could shoot this guy. Who knows? You don't get a gun initially.
I like the idea of trying to Matrix everything and just being like...
It gets real hard.
Like the wind.
From what I've seen. I watched IGN do it, and they're like, I can't do this. First few episodes, you can do it.
We were pumped about that excitement, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the VR podcast, which will be in a couple days. But let's focus on
Super Hot,
E3 main.
Well, I've got a couple more from the pre-show, because there's a lot announced at the pre-show. Like I said, Ninokuni was announced. I don't know anything about the game, but I know people are excited about it.
Very pretty, and it's based off. It's like a Studio Ghibli style art thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they may have had a say in it actually. And but basically, it's got a little bit of a cult following.
And then one of the ones I didn't expect, but I'm kind of happy about, is Undertale. It's coming to
really
PS4. Like that's one I didn't think. Like, to me, Undertale is one. I feel like it would have gone to Switch because it felt like very much a Nintendo game. I
feel like it might still end up.
I'm sure it will, but it was just really weird. Where it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing I want.
Yeah.
Like I watched a lot of my friends. I watched a lot of people play it because it's such a good game, and I want to play it, but I just never did because I I can get on PC, but I don't want to.
Almost in that same category as Superhot in terms of something that has been kind of renowned, has a small cult following. They're really rabid about it.
I feel like Undertale is more than a small cult.
Yeah,
it's a big cult.
They're really scary. And you know, we played it a little bit with Jordan, but it was PC based. So, you know, I find it hard to get excited about PC games knowing I'll never get to play them. But now that I know that game, which looked really fun, is coming to the PS4, super excited.
So that was one. There was another one from a company that made Until Dawn. I can't remember the name of that developer, but they're coming out with one called Hidden Agenda, which is very similar to Until Dawn, story style based thing, but it's not scary, so I will play it. You're a detective, essentially. You're a cop.
I'm sure it's a little dark in places.
Oh,
Isn't it utilizing that new, like, was it play test or something? You sent me a link.
Playlink. So so one of the things that Sony announced, sorry, I got Nintendo on the brain because we just watched them. Sony just announced at the pre-show, which again, why would you announce it at the pre-show? But whatever. I wish if they did. I wish they told people that they're going to do that shit.
There was a time constraint. I wonder if they're told they could only have like their conference be so long.
But usually they go 90. They only went an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But basically, there's going to be a series of games that are using what's called PlayLink. So basically, it's a game that then can either tie to your phone through a mobile app or some other smart device, I'm guessing.
Tablet or something.
And basically, you make decisions based on that. So first thing I thought of was streaming.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? Because that's what they're talking about. Like, we watch people play Until Dawn, and they're like, oh, Until Dawn, people were playing that together, even though it's a single-player experience. How do we make that a multiplayer experience?
This is a game born of the streaming community.
Yes.
It really is. It's a game that, you know, the developers took a long, hard look at how Until Dawn was doing. They know with any type of a game that gets streamed, the community behind that streamer tend to get into it a lot. You also have your things like Twitch plays Pokemon and stuff, where everyone gets to control the stupid game. So collaborative efforts are definitely like at the forefront of what the game industry.
And they announced, I think, 7 or 8 of the games. I don't know what they are, but they are on their blog if you want to check it out.
But that's the most probably prominent one.
Yes, that's the big one. There's a couple other smaller ones. So let's get to the proper conference here and actually get into what they announced. Can we start off by what did you think of that intro? Because last year they had the orchestra. This year we had a sitar with
it was
cool waterfall effects.
Sort of Indian vibe, really pretty. I liked it. I thought it was a nice, subtle intro into Sony. Is always, in my eyes, as a bit of a fanboy, a little bit more stylistic. I think when Xbox does a conference, they come out and it's very much like most power, biggest in-your-face explosions. It's that kind of thing. Sony's always a little bit more subtle in the way that they go about things. So I preferred this, I think, to a big bombastic entrance. It was better than the drum line from Ubisoft.
Well, I was telling you, because me, you, and David were in a text chat while it was going on, because we were watching it together, and Sony knows how to put on a theatric show. Like, that was an event. They had fucking zombies hanging from ceilings at one point. They had fire effects. They had water effects. Like, they had all these going on, and Sony knows how to put on a show. Granted, I'm going to say this now and get out of the way. This E3 to me felt kind of meh.
Yeah,
but Sony definitely put on the best show. Nintendo, I think, and
best
again,
presentation.
Nintendo had the best content. Sony had the best presentation. Bethesda was not far behind the presentation-wise. Just their content was lacking.
I mean, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
But I think Sony presentation-wise was
a solid presentation,
and they fit on the theater. Like, it was perfect to have them in the theater, not on the E3 stage. So I love that. But content. First things first. Uncharted DLC. We knew about it.
I don't know. Is it DLC or is it a new game? I always thought it was a new game.
I don't know.
I think it's a new game. I mean, it's Uncharted Lost Legacy. It doesn't focus on Nathan. It focuses on his
Is it a full price game then?
Side chick. I think so.
Side
I think
chick?
it's a legit like.
Is it literally his side chick?
At some point, yeah.
He's like, yeah.
But it's Uncharted Lost Legacy. Honestly, I am not the world's biggest Uncharted fan. I like the game solidly. I think it does good things for gameplay, good things for graphics, but there's no hook in that game for me other than the occasional set piece moment I enjoy. So I'm tempered expectations. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure Uncharted fans will love it. Me personally, not for me.
Yeah, same here.
And a bit weak to open a conference with because we've seen that already, I thought. Usually
but a lot of stuff they showed was stuff we'd already known about.
Yeah, but usually they open with something that's either like a big build upon something they teased recently, or it's like a brand new
or their thought was, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah, it could be that.
Because they announced the next thing was Horizon DLC. So
yeah,
they got those two things out of the way.
Into the big ones, with this, which is rare for Sony. Usually they go for the nuts right at the beginning.
So Horizon DLC, Frozen Wilds 2017. Look good. I've not played. I played the game for about a day and a half.
And that was a prediction for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got that one right.
Yep.
Finally, or got one. Sony, I nailed predictions. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty good on Sony. Everybody else, I completely just because I got the problem with everybody else is I was like too specific.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of half points, not whole points.
I'll let you have half points.
But the Horizon DLC, it looked good.
It's just new locale, isn't it, basically? Hopefully they throw in a few new dinosaurs or something, but just the idea that you go from the jungle to the frozen wastelands is kind of like, all right, well, this might be
I wonder if they're going to do a story expansion on it, like
I think that's
what's
what
all
it
going to
is.
entail. Because
it
didn't give... at this point, in the conference... Well, the problem was there's no sound on the stream.
Right, that's true.
So up until, I think it was the next one where they got the sound back.
It would appear to be a campaign DLC.
And I haven't watched the trailer yet.
I wonder if they start to bring in things to it like survival-type elements as far as being too cold, considering, it's...
So the Breath of the Wild kind of
Yeah,
thing?
kind of see if there's any kind of interesting twist they make to the gameplay with it. But honestly, new locales is pretty cool. I think anyone that's played Horizon simply just wants more Horizon. I still need to get back into that game.
Do you think it's too late?
I don't
think
think
it's a good time?
No, I think it's a perfect time.
Because that game came out in February, I think.
I think a lot of people, like myself included, that went into Horizon, like really enjoying it, getting into it.
The problem is so many other things come out.
This other stuff.
Yeah.
We were like, but I've been waiting for Mass Effect for years. I've been
wait
waiting
till
for
October.
Persona for even longer, and then it just, I don't know, it kind of snowballed me out of it, and no pun intended, this might snowball me back in.
One of my predictions, by the way, was that 3 of the games are going to get delayed. Problem is Sony didn't give too many dates.
Well, we're not going to know if they get delayed until they get delayed.
Later on.
So you might come up one day and just go, got it!
I got it, I win.
Prediction number 1.
Yeah. The Uncharted DLC, or the Uncharted game, the Horizon DLC, all gone, and Days Gone. We got a gameplay. Looks like Uncharted. A lot of this was from the kind of forums I read afterwards, this was very much, I either love this game or I hate this game.
Yeah.
And I'm on I guess not hate, but don't care about it.
Right.
I'm on the I don't care about
Nothing
it.
drawing you in.
Yeah, because it's a zombie game. It looks like Uncharted, looks like Last of Us, and I'm like,
that's exactly
I've seen enough of those.
the best description you could make is it looks like a cross between Uncharted and Last of Us. But the difference here, I think, is that the zombies almost seem to be used more like a puzzle element than anything else. It's not like they are, you're just constantly kind of running away from these hordes. It's like, okay, there is literally too many for me to take. So in this instance,
in the trailer they showed us, they used to break down a wall and attack people. Like that is really cool, and it's a cool game mechanic. I didn't like. There's a few times, I don't know if you noticed when they put the whatever it was, the charge up on the wall. It kind of just like popped up there.
Yeah.
It was granted, it's early. It's still early.
Yeah.
They didn't give a date for it, which I'm kind of upset about. They haven't given it the spit
shine yet. But I mean, it would definitely look decent. I think that honestly, the proof is going to be in the gameplay of it, because it like graphically it looks fine. there's a few interesting new mechanics there. If you like Uncharted and Last of Us, and that's a large portion of the PlayStation community, then there's probably something.
What do you think it means about not getting a date, though? Do you think we'll see this at E3 next year?
No, I think they might drop it close to PSX. Actually, I think that if they're not giving it a date, they're holding it back for their own.
Speaking of PSX, they officially announced those dates: December 9th and 10th.
Yeah,
in Anaheim, they're gonna have PSX, and that's kind of where I think like Last of Us 2, which was not here, will show up.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. There was a discussion about this on one of the channel shows after, where they said that, do you think it would have been better for Sony to have held back that Last of Us 2 teaser from PSX and instead have put it like right at the after Spider-Man at their conference? Do you think that would have been more like, okay, they win, they're done?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's nice, though, for them to try and offer something that is truly incredible to the fans of their own conference. But again, something like that, man, it would look real good.
But what would you show that is different? Because last year they showed a cinematic trailer. If they showed another cinematic trailer, say there's no, because I don't think there's any gameplay like that.
I just wanted them to not have done it earlier and use that same trailer in E3, because I think if it debuted at E3, because it's so far behind that the only thing they teased before that was literally the name, and then they said this is coming, like we're making it.
Yeah.
But I think if they'd have left that trailer out of PSX and moved it over to E3 and made it the ending, I think we'd be having a different conversation about who won and who lost E3. But
I hate saying who won and lost, by the way. I'm not a fan.
No, I'm fine.
Everybody wins. Everybody has a game.
Win.
Everybody has a game that they are excited about from this E3. I think some do better than others when it comes to presentation.
Part of me just has to kind of rank them in my head. But I don't necessarily give them points. I just rank them best to worst.
Yeah. Monster Hunter World, early 2018 release date.
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Honda, who I had the pleasure of meeting last year at Indie PopCon, is a huge Monster Hunter fan, and he was super excited about this announcement. It's not coming to Switch. It's only on It's coming on Xbox One and PS4, and then later on PC. I'm pretty sure. I've got the
press release.
I've got it up here somewhere.
I would say while you're doing that Monster Hunter, it didn't give the best showing as far as the advertisement for it. I felt like if you were watching that, like if you're a Monster Hunter fan, sure, you're pretty pumped about it. But at the same time, like as far as what they were showing, it didn't seem like the cream of the crop. Either that or it looked like it was a little bulky here and there.
Yeah.
And,
so PS4, Xbox One, and PC at a later date.
Okay.
Early 2018, rating pending.
No Switch yet.
But
again, it might end up on the Switch at some point.
Yeah, this is one of those games like it didn't look bad, but compared to what we just saw with Days Gone and with Uncharted and with Horizon, it's like, ooh.
It was pure fan service, and the Monster Hunter fans, like you said, they are rabid.
And apparently, I don't know a lot about Monster Hunter, but apparently it's a huge franchise in Japan.
Yeah, it's massive, and it's mostly played. It originally was played on the PSP.
And this sounds like it's I don't know a lot about it, but based on the press release when I read it, it's got online capabilities, and you can play cross region, which is apparently a big deal as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
more fan base, more
that's
people to interact with.
Something you think would be standard in the game, but apparently it may not have been at this point.
Usually they try and keep servers based on the region that they're in.
Because you get faster connection.
But yeah, because you have just trying to connect with someone maybe hosting in Japan.
Yeah, so venture on your quest alone or team up with 3 other hunters in a newly designed online drop-in multiplayer system which allows cross-region cooperative play between Japan and the West, uniting the global player base for the first time ever.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to knock it. I'll probably still give it a shot because I've always wanted to get into Monster Hunter. I had a couple of the earlier titles on the PSP, and I just it didn't stick. And I think for PS4, this is a good chance for me to at least give it another shot and see if I will be a fan.
One of the themes of Sony at the C3 was you're gonna fight some big monsters.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of big monsters.
Speaking of big monsters,
Shadow of the Colossus 2018. I don't know if they officially. I assume it's a remake.
They never said.
They never said what it was. Never said HD.
Any of that shit. To me, it looks like a grind up remake.
It looks like they're gonna do the Crash concept.
There wasn't really a lot going on with the original Shadows of the Colossus. It was one of the first games that fell into that category of games as art. And there was no more enemies than the Titans. There was just you and your horse and a big open landscape and Titans, and that was it. And they originally had to scale down the amount of Titans from something like 24 to 16. So it was literally just like 16 boss battles.
Which do you think we're going to see the other
That's what
Titans
I was
then?
thinking, is that maybe if they're going to go and really try and expand this out, it would be really cool if now that they have the capabilities that they could throw those other guys in there. And if that happened, I think you'd see the Shadows community go nuts. But Shadows of the Colossus is just such a fun memory for a lot of people. Like, no one was expecting it. It was perfectly aesthetically beautiful. Everyone had a great time playing it, and there was a lot of kind of genuine concern, because you think about, you're seeing these giant monsters, they're wandering around in the wild, and you just go up and start murdering them for no reason. So there's a lot of self-reflection in terms of am I doing the right thing? Is this game leading me down a weird path? Why am I hunting monsters? So
again, as somebody who I was not a Sony person, so this doesn't have that connection to me like some of the other games. But I know a lot of people like you that are diehard Sony fans are like, holy shit, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they did that.
It's more fan service, but I also think that it does give the opportunity for someone like yourself to jump in.
Microsoft gives you backwards compatibility, Sony gives you remakes.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happens.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happens.
But I'm really excited about this one, and I think that for people like you that never got a chance to experience it the first time round, this will be the ultimate way to experience it.
Marvel, I have Marvel VA. It's Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, September 19th, 2017.
And the story demo dropped today. So
it's on Xbox and PS4. I don't know if it's coming to PC, but I know it's on both of those.
For
and
fans,
the
I'm sure they'll dig it. Again, I've never been a huge fan of that franchise, but it's more fan service from Sony. It's more giving people what they want. And like you said, at E3, there tends to be something for everyone. This is something for other people than me.
Fighting there, I know. I mean, one of my Jay Statics is a fighting fan, and he loves those kind of games like Tekken. Tekken's his big game right now.
We originally thought when it came up that it was the Avengers game.
Yes.
And then we I saw Chun-Li, and I was like, no.
Nope.
Then I was like, Chun-Li's not in the Avengers.
Then I was like, All-Stars?
Yeah.
You're bringing All-Stars back?
Yeah.
They didn't.
I'm afraid not. But it was a good reveal for fans of the game. There's a big esport following for that game.
So they showed us the story. They showed us, like you said, the demo's available today. Call of Duty World War II. Out November 3rd. I think we already knew that, but I'm not 100% sure if we already knew that.
You don't care about this game one iota?
No.
And I'm...
You're back to caring.
A little bit.
So the text you sent me was no jetpacks.
Yeah, no fucking jetpacks. This is the thing. I was a huge Call of Duty fan. Like, I've played them since the big red one.
I've only played, the only one I played was Modern Warfare. I had World at War, which I gave to my brother. I traded him for a sports game.
Yeah.
And then I played Warfare.
I thought you said you traded your brother for a sports game.
Yeah, I traded my brother for a sports game. And then I got Modern Warfare 2 when I was in college, and because everybody was fucking playing that in the dorm room. Yeah. So that's the only Call of Duty games I played.
Yeah, I went through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the way through, I even picked up the last one, but every single one since Modern Warfare 2 has let me down. Like, actually, I didn't get the second and third Black Ops games because I never liked the first one. That was the one that broke my heart because I was so like stoked with Modern Warfare 2.
You're the old fart that's like, put it back in World War II.
Yeah, well, I want it to be like
Infinite last year.
I don't think Call of Duty needed to go futuristic. I think they already have so many sci-fi shooters out there. You already have your Halos. You already have that shit. There's no reason. Titanfall even. There's no reason to do that. Like the meat of Call of Duty and the reason why the original games were so well received was because you felt like you were in a war with your buddies, and it felt like it was, the types of war that you read about, not the types of made-up bullshit like nanobots flying through the air nonsense they ended up on. So I'm really excited to see it go back to World War II.
See, I liked it.
Battlefield 1 did really
I didn't play
well,
it, but I feel like Advanced Warfare was good because you're not that far in the future. Because that's getting to the point where
Advanced
it's realistic.
Warfare was better than Infinite Warfare, I think, but at the same time, I think both of them were horrible in comparison to the original couple Modern Warfare.
Because you're an old fart.
I know.
Because you're an old fart.
But at the same time, I will probably pick this one up, and that'll be the first Call of Duty I bought, because I wanted to, as opposed to because it was on sale for a long time.
Cool. Next section, big one for us. As you know, we're
gonna save the deep dives for this on Friday's episode. So if you are a VR fan, then come see us on Friday, and we'll be getting a lot more in depth with this stuff. VR, man.
We had Super Hot and we had Spark in the intro or in the pre-show, and then you're ready for this one.
This is the biggest reveal of the entire Sony conference for us.
Bethesda. We were like meh on them, and we'll get into why later on. But it's like I feel like they were missing something. We found out what they were missing.
Yeah,
Skyrim VR.
Yeah,
Sony had to pay a lot of money, I'm guessing, for that.
I'm guessing so
to make that happen. Yeah. Skyrim VR, full Skyrim game, including all DLCs. Man. So I have never played Skyrim. I played for about 30-40 minutes, and it crashed on me when I got the.
You got too mod crazy.
Yeah, I had too many mod. Well, I think I just had the wrong load order.
Right.
But I'm excited to try this. I'm also terrified to try this because there's big scary monsters in Skyrim.
There is.
So
but I think it would be good for you because you are way more familiar with the world of Elder Scrolls than you are of something like Resident Evil. There's no abject horror in Elder Scrolls. It's all just kind of like, oh, there happens to be fucking giants that live here. It's not like they're designed there to scare you. They're just giants and they live there, so you stay the fuck away from them.
This game is one of the things I was saying to you guys last night is like, this has got to be Move compatible. Confirmed it is.
It is Move compatible, confirmed. It is also showing up on the PlayStation Store right now as a $60 pre-order. So full $60 game. I don't think with Skyrim VR anyone is arguing that.
I think the only argument is why are they doing it on a 5-year-old game?
You know what? I think that's just that's where they are, and I think it's because this brings up another important point is that Fallout 4 that was revealed at the Bethesda conference, and we'll get into that. Yeah. But Fallout 4 that was revealed was
it was revealed last year too.
To not be coming to PSVR. So there's a lot of PSVR fans that were understandably like, why not? Why not us?
Yeah.
Why not us, Daddy Bethesda?
There we go.
And then Sony came out and said, you know what? Well, maybe we can't give them Fallout 4. Mm-hmm. But here's what we can give you. And personally, for any Bethesda fan, I think Skyrim to them is probably a more fun experience than Fallout if they like the whole of Bethesda as opposed to pure Fallout. So even though this game has been released and this will be the 4th and then the 5th when it comes out on the Switch time that I buy
Second time I bought it.
It will be well worth it.
Did you see the meme where it's like, it's the year Skyrim, because Skyrim came out 2013, I believe, and it's the meme of people playing Skyrim, and then underneath it's a bar of how long Bethesda people think people are playing Skyrim. And it's 2019 and on. Yeah. And I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those games you can go back to, though, and the fact that the game is so long to begin with, you can choose a different character, different skill sets.
I'm interested to see kind of how they did this, whether they just plugged it in and went, or how because that's a big game.
big fucking.
And is
game.
it the remaster? Is it like it's not?
Legit.
It's its own. Like you said, it's standalone. It's not.
I almost
it's not
expect it to have a degrade in graphics, but
it's also 5 years old already.
Don't care. I don't care. I just want to be in that world, walking around, feeling like that's everyone that has a goddamn PSVR has been asking for a full-length RPG. You cannot ask for better than this.
That's literally what I was asking for. Like, if you go back watch any of our VR shows, I say, what do we need? We need Elder Scrolls in VR. Hey, guess what we got? Elder Scrolls in VR.
Don't get me wrong. Elder Scrolls Online in VR would be a really good next step. Let's talk about this Bethesda, but Skyrim is about as good as you can get.
I think they're going to start with that just because online you have to deal with servers and connection issues. Like I saw you yesterday because I was uploading stuff for all the trailers and all. By the way, if you want to see any of the trailers, we have some of our channel. There's a whole playlist that's going to go boop. But I was playing Elder Scrolls Online yesterday, and internet's important. You know, when you play an online game, and I would run through a town, and I go interact with something, and wouldn't interact. I was like, oh, what? Like, because the game glitches out every so often, where I got to do like a dive roll and do it again. Didn't work, and then all of a sudden, like 15 seconds later, I'd be back at the beginning of the town. I was like, oh, I guess I was not loading at that point.
Server issues.
Well, that's again, I was uploading videos.
I imagine
so that's not going to help.
There's an awful lot of people that jump back in with Morrowind, so I imagine they are just not used to the strain.
Well, I also, like I said, I was uploading. So
huge news at the beginning, right at the beginning as well, of the VR thing. Like that's kind of like how I expected Sony to start the whole conference would be something like
that.
The
VR section is very controversial in the forums because if you don't have a VR, you don't give a shit about it. But those of us that have one, like,
I get it.
We're all super hyped.
I understand both sides on this because if I don't have one, then these announcements mean nothing to me. And it's just like they wasted 6 games worth of space in the E3 conference. But if you do have one, this means the world to you. And I think that starting with Skyrim was an incredible way to go. They then went into Star Child VR. What do you think of that?
I don't remember which one that is to be.
It was kind of the 2D scrolly cartoon, half cartoony kind.
Oh, there's the one that I was like, I don't know how this is VR. That's why I was confused at first because like this isn't the VR section, but this isn't VR.
Look like a VR game, but again,
you could do.
You don't really know what a VR game looks like until you get in VR. So
well, that's why I like Skyrim because Skyrim's like here's gameplay, like go. The only thing with Skyrim though, they didn't give a release window, date, time.
Currently, they have a placeholder on the store, which is December 2017. So hopefully, it's this year.
Hopefully, that's
actually, I think there was a press release after by Bethesda, if I remember correctly, that I looked up and it said November. It didn't say more than that, but it said November. So hopefully, we'll see it before the holiday.
Cool. But yeah, Star Child, I was like, it's
Next
whatever.
Big game for me.
Impatient.
The Impatient.
Which, from what I read, this is from the same people. This is 60 years before Until Dawn, I believe.
I'm not sure.
I think it's connected to it somehow.
It looks like it would be.
I think it's 60 years before Until Dawn. Because it's the weird... I'm guessing that's the dude that you talk to in the thing and Until Dawn. I don't know. The guy who showed me the snakes and shit. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
So it looks interesting. I won't play this game because it looks like it's a scary game.
Yeah.
But... Which I was joking with you guys, like, why the fucking every VR game going to be scary? Like, come on. But it looks interesting. It's a mind fuck.
Felt about that one. The scariness factor is that there's too many horror games. But for people that like horror, never
good.
too many. And then
the next one,
This one.
Hey, I got this one. I got this one right.
You sure?
I got this one right. Final Fantasy 15 information.
What the fuck happened, man?
It's Monster of the Deep, September 2017. So it's this year.
I hope there's more to come. I hope there's more to come as far as the VR stuff. But you know what?
It's a VR fishing game.
We asked for a VR fishing game.
I got my Elder Scrolls. I got my RPG. You got your fishing game.
I got my VR fishing game. And it looks kind of fun, too, because obviously you get to be the characters from Final Fantasy. I don't know if you get to choose different ones or whatever. But the fact that it is a full-on, like, weird Final Fantasy
I really hope it uses the Move
game.
or they make a fucking, like, game, a Dreamcast.
Yeah, Dreamcast
controller.
But it's like a big scary fish in it, and I'm also a fan of big scary fish. So Monsters of the Deep.
I was good until the end when the fish attacked.
Yeah,
I was good until that happened. And I was like, nope, that's gonna be huge. This next one is actually I'm excited about,
big one.
And it supports the aim controller from what I've been hearing.
Yep.
Bravo Team. It's basically a first-person shooter. I mean, but it's not sci-fi. It's Call of Duty style, realism. On the ground, like. Yeah. And I think that's something we've not seen. We've seen a lot of the shooters in VR. A lot of shooters recently have been sci-fi, space, have been something that's not based in reality other than like Battlefield 1.
This is a full attempt at a Call of Duty, original Call of Duty style.
I'm interested to see how long it's going to be.
I just want to know if it's good enough to be to make its way into the realms of like esports and stuff, because these types of games are the ones that live on really well. They're kind of, as long as they have base level decent gameplay, this is the type of thing that could really take off. But of course, we won't know until we see more on it. But from what I could see, it looked pretty cool.
So, last one they announced for VR,
Mm-hmm.
Moss. What do you think of that guy?
I think it looked great.
It's
little mouse guy?
little mouse dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was one of it was a psychotic mouse, I found out.
Is it?
He started murdering some things.
Well,
Started
yeah,
doing
it
some
did
things.
get a little rough.
But
it was weird because I swear when he looked in that lake during the trailer that was No Face.
It was. That's why I texted you and I said, I know that face.
Yeah,
and you're
so-
like, it's No Face. I was like,
But it didn't
I
say
know
it was like connected to Ghibli or anything
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know. I mean, it looks like it could be.
Maybe it's
but
an homage.
also it's it's really kind of bizarre. But it looked beautiful, and in VR, I can only imagine that being a really lovely experience.
I'm interested to see camera. Because
Yeah.
it looked third person. But again, the problem I have with a lot of VR trailers, when they don't show, I think Skyrim did it best because, here's gameplay. That's what you need to do with the VR trailer.
Yeah.
You can show off cinematics, but show us gameplay
Yeah.
so I know what I'm getting.
Well, I also feel like a lot of these games for VR, even though they might be releasing this year, are definitely still in the.
Well, the
later-
only one releasing officially this year that was announced at the conference was the Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
So,
So I don't know if Moss is this year or not, but I do
Yeah.
know that maybe it's not in the position for them to release that type of footage yet. So that
Yeah.
would be my thought.
so let's move on to the prediction I nailed.
Okay.
100%. I should get bonus points for this. God of War. Early 2018, we got a cinematic / gameplay trailer thing. We're
Mixture.
kind of jumped
Yeah.
between the two. What'd you think?
Oh, that looked great.
You guys knew it way before I did. I was like, how the fuck did you do it from a dude
just-
rowing in the boat?
I saw a boat and I was like,
Yeah.
that's God of War. No, it looks really interesting. I love the fact that it almost looks more serious in tone than the
Mm-hmm.
original God of Wars. They were kind of tongue in cheek a little bit in some places. I feel like
You
the
mean less
dynamic-
serious?
Yes.
Because like you just said, it's more serious and tongue in cheek. I was like, that's the opposite.
The dynamic
When he threw
his
the,
kid,
when he threw the axe at that dude and he's like,
yeah.
come on, man. I thought of that.
It is weird though that they didn't really show off any of Kratos' kind of traditional weaponry. It almost seemed like the axe was the only thing that he had.
Well, you
and
know
a
what?
shield.
You know what I find interesting is, and I think this is hopefully what it's kind of gonna be is. People know who Kratos is because of the legend, and this is obviously his kid. But is he a has-been? Is he doing the Incredibles thing where he was this god and he now something has happened,
Fall from grace.
and yeah, he's not there, but people know who he is because of what he did.
Yeah.
But right now he's just an everyday dad type thing.
Yeah.
How did we get to where we are now? Are they going to explain
That's
that?
a lot of the part that I think we'll probably find out closer to the time or when the game releases. But I do like that,
Or
that
PSX.
we're asking these questions. That
Yeah.
we're not just
We know-
accepting
we-
it as
we
new
know a lot more
traditional
now
God of War.
than we
I
did
did
last
love
year.
the ending. I thought that was really superb of that trailer where the big snake came up and you said, "Big snakes, fuck it,
Yep.
I'm out." And
Yep.
and then it
You-
turns
you
out
David
that
both.
he's friendly.
Yeah.
So that's the York,
Which he looked he looked
the
he
Yorkin
looked
something the end world serpent.
I don't know. He looked more like a
Yeah.
dragon, so I wasn't as scared because he had a dragony.
Well,
type
he's
head.
if it's the end world serpent, the story behind that is it's an old Norse mythology where basically they believe there's a giant dragon / snake thing that I think it's called like a worm or something, a serpent, whatever, that wraps around the entire world and bites its own tail. And the second it lets go of its tail, the world is supposed to end.
Wow.
That's the story.
So it's
of
eating
the,
itself.
Yeah, that's the story of the
That's
world
dumb.
serpent. Really great story and a really good kind of place to focus a God of War story on. So exciting.
So I'm gonna say this next one is probably my biggest disappointment of the conference. Detroit Become Human. We got a gameplay and story trailer. No release date.
You're just fucking with me.
No, I really didn't like it. No release date. I know you love it, but I personally, I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah,
and then you can
I
give
need
your
to hear
opinions.
some reasoning behind this because
So-
Destiny 2's after this. So,
So
you
no,
better have a
no,
good reason.
no release date. I
Yeah.
kind of wanted one,
Yeah.
and that is not the game I envisioned when they announced it last year. The game I envisioned when they announced it last year was similar to an Until Dawn style
It is,
choice
though.
game. That looked like a lot more combat going on. Like that's what got me. It was I didn't expect it to be running around like that, and that gameplay was just like.
I think you have to have played the previous ones to know.
Which
what
I
you're
haven't
looking
though.
at.
As somebody, so
Yeah.
from my perspective, somebody who knows nothing about this game, and say I'm a new PS4 owner and I'm hopping in and never played PlayStation
That's fair.
before, like that's why I think this one I'm not hyped at all because I don't.
That's
it
fair,
doesn't do
and
anything
I
for
will
me.
change your mind eventually. But
Yeah.
the idea behind this is, and you can tell because the last trailer that they released, you were playing the cop that you saw very, very briefly as a cameo in this trailer. This time you're playing the I guess the leader of the Android Resistance, who
Which
looked
I like that. Specifically is the word you're looking for.
especially. Yeah, I was on a whole lot different train there. Especially like that dude
Specifically.
from Cabin in the Woods and Grey's Anatomy. I forget his name, Jesse something.
I don't know.
But anyway, so what you're seeing there, they were showing you the results of chosen stories that you make or that you seal. So like they had the initial one where it was like, okay, let's fucking kill everything, and then they were like, but this could have gone another way, and they go back and then they show.
But
you. You're not actually going to be fighting. You're just selecting whether that's a thing that should happen or not.
But
there's no action.
But the gameplay you were looking at on the trailer yesterday made it look like you were moving around that world and doing decisions that way, and I was like, this feels completely different than what I did before.
That's fair.
Than what I was looking at, and that's why I was like, what is happening?
You will absolutely be walking. You will be like going to different areas of the scenery and interacting with it. That's something they've done since Heavy Rain, since Fahrenheit.
I mean, I played. Was it Heavy Rain?
It was Fahrenheit.
Or Fahrenheit. I played one of them.
But like since those games, you will definitely move around the scenery. But then all the kind of actions and things that you're doing are based upon. They're all environmental, like Sherlock Holmes or
to me, it just felt like two completely different games based on the way they showed it, which is interesting because it kind of made me think of how you show off a game. Right. Where it's like, oh, well.
So I'm guessing that they're going to split it up similar to Heavy Rain. So Heavy Rain, you had 4 protagonists, and you would play through each one of them throughout the story, and their stories would interact with each other. So if it's similar to how I'm guessing from the 2 trailers they've laid out so far, at some point you're going to be this cop trying to catch this android, and sometimes you're going to be this android trying to avoid this cop, and you're going to be actively fighting yourself in that story, which is going to make for some severely interesting moments.
So thoughts on not getting a date on it? Because I thought this was going to be one of the games where like it's coming this year.
I'm surprised there's no date on it. I also don't mind because I know that whatever the work is, it'll be good, and I'm one of those more patient gamers.
I really thought they were going to drop that. Like this was going to be the one that.
A little sad there was no VR. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we did see it this year. So I'm fine with it. I don't think
we're going to, because they would have said it if it's this year, unless they've got something big up there, and I don't think they would.
Maybe
at this point because PSX is too late to drop it this year because it's in December 9th.
Yeah.
So
maybe they're just not done, and that's fine.
It's true.
Might be one of those delays.
Sony announced a lot of things that are coming out years later last year. That's why I felt like this conference was a lot. This conference was exactly what I wanted, but it didn't surpass my expectations.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of felt about it. Obviously, Shadow Colossus was kind of like the big moment, like the whole shit, and then VR for us, but not for everybody. Next one, Destiny 2. Cinematic trailer, September 6th. We also found out exclusive content. There's exclusive strikes, gears, weapons, PvP maps, and more.
Divided the community, this decision.
They did that last time, too.
But some people, even on the PlayStation side, are kind of mad that they're denying the other group of gamers the ability to access these things because of Destiny.
You watched IGN, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you listened to Destin Legary, didn't you?
I didn't. I may have listened to Destin.
Because Destin came in, he's like, fuck that, I'm going to switch to Xbox.
Because he said, it was Destin, and he said that he had a bunch of tweets about it from the Twitter community.
He had
people
1,000, he goes, not actually 1,000, but I had a lot.
Right.
Because that joke.
Because that was an interesting point to make, though, because I feel like as far as like gamers, whenever you come to something like E3, you're at a place where you really want everyone to get something out of the conference. Although there was definitely, like you had mentioned, the console wars were a little bit alive in this E3. But I think overall, it's kind of a shitty practice to hold stuff back from the other side.
I agree.
Yeah.
But they didn't. It was the thing they announced, and we're in a world where how do you set your box apart from the other box? You get exclusive shit. Nintendo, like I think it's funny that everybody gets angry about this, but Nintendo, and we're gonna get to it, announced things that are only on the Switch, and it's like cool.
Yeah.
Like. Everybody's cheering that, but why are you cheering that? I think it's because it's different enough.
Yeah,
because Microsoft and Sony are so close.
Nintendo kind of get a pass because they literally own most of the franchises, and they have done for like 20 years or 30 years.
Yeah,
so people are just like, oh yeah,
I just think
you put Zelda on whatever you want.
I just think it's funny that like this is a sticking point. Like it doesn't change. I guess it changed the game if you're on Xbox, but it doesn't change the game fundamentally.
Yeah.
So they didn't say anything about story, like strikes, multiplayer. Like,
I will say though that we had that sort of rough announcement a couple of weeks ago where we said that we found out that the PS Pro would not be able to output full 60 frames,
Scorpio can't
4K. It can't either.
Scorpio cannot.
They
officially came out, and Scorpio said it. Not that it can't, but it won't.
Interesting.
So Bungie came out and said it is going to run 30 frames per second at 4K.
I didn't read that part.
On PS4.
I thought that was going to be PlayStation's differentiator, is the fact that even though you couldn't play full like 4K 60, that you would get all this bonus stuff.
Nope. So the reason they're doing that is because Xbox One.
So they got previous gen stuff holding it back?
It's got not previous gen, but the box.
Interesting.
So I'm guessing that's why, but they said it will run at 30 frames per second on the Scorpio.
Interesting.
Which we will give you a name here in the next little bit.
The next one I think is the second behind Skyrim, was the second biggest excitement of the show for me.
This was one, this is the one, like this is the game, and you kind of hinted at it earlier. This is the game where we heard about it last year. We saw a little bit of it, and this is the game where I'm like, I want this. I had a few issues with it. It's Spider-Man from Insomniac. That's all we don't have a title. I don't think yet officially. And this is just called. It could be just called Spider-Man.
Just be called Spider-Man.
So what we saw essentially was a giant action sequence gameplay trailer thing where
gameplay mixed in with cinematics.
Yeah,
with cutscenes.
Yeah, the Kingpin. It reminded me a lot of like you talked about set pieces with the Uncharted set piece, where you're basically one of the things was you're in the city. This chopper, the bad guy comes in, he gets away. You got to go catch him, all that kind of stuff, and you're jumping off this stuff, swinging like Spider-Man.
But a lot of that
around.
Was gameplay. Like
yeah.
A lot of that was gameplay.
I think all of it was.
It was gameplay mixed mostly with QTEs.
Yes, I think that's what you're going to get in the game.
Yeah,
I think that's what that was literally not just. This is not a cinematic trailer. This is not a gameplay trailer. This
like
is
Naughty
the game.
Dog made a Spider-Man game.
Yes,
Naughty Dog had a baby with Rocksteady. Made a Spider-Man game.
So a couple things I want to say about this. One, the going outside from the city into the building and back out of the thing without a loading screen.
It was cool.
Fucking fantastic. I wonder how big that map is, because I wonder how... I mean, it's New York City, so you're going to be dense. I wonder how big it is. The only issue I had was a lot of cute QuickTime events.
Yeah, but again, I think that's because it was a story. Like, it was a campaign mission, so I expect there to be a few. And it could have just been that it was one of those instances where that was the way you had to tackle that certain boss, and in different bosses, it was far more reliant on your skills.
I just think it was a lot more than what should have been in there for a showcase. They did show off other things. I'm interested to see how this game controls, because that's going to factor into a lot of...
If that swinging is as slick as it looked, then I think dude,
that was wonderful.
But like those scenes where he would sort of climb up on a banister and sort of survey the environment and see how best to utilize it and that kind of stuff.
The one that got me was when he shot the guy with the web, pulled him up, and then kept shooting him to hang, because that's from... I grew up on the cartoon series in the 90s. Like, that's what I think when I think of Spider-Man. That's what I think of. And then
and the Spider-Man voice wasn't annoying.
No,
it didn't. I thought it was going to annoy me.
He wasn't as quirky, or he didn't have as many quips though as I want him to. I want him to have a little bit more.
I'm sure there's more, but I like that they held back on the quips.
Obviously, he's fighting a giant battle right there too, so he's not going to be like, I
like there was only one or two. I think if they'd have overdone it, people have been like, oh great, it's going to be the whole time he's going to be making jokes. Like, you know what I mean? And I like that it was like just enough Spider-Man quips. And also they had that, and you weren't really understanding this part of the story, but the Miles Morales teaser at the end.
Yeah.
Miles Morales is like basically a different, like Ultimate Spider-Man, a bit different to the other ones, and he has a very specific suit, and he's I want to say he's a Latin kid, which caused this massive controversy. Of course, how can you have a Latin Spider-Man? Marvel got hit a lot with that, but he was really well received, and he's been in the TV stuff and the comics for a while. So the fact that I kind of wonder if it's just like he'll be in the story somehow, or he'll take over at some point,
does it intertwine?
But very cool reveal.
I'm excited. So unlike Days Gone, where I was intrigued last year to know I don't care this year.
My expectations with that game.
Spider-Man now, I'm like, I went from intrigued to I'm gonna buy it probably day one. Like that's what E3 hype should do. And unless there's something that gets announced, and I don't think there will be, that's like, this is fucking broken, that would be the only thing at this point to make you not buy that game.
Yeah.
And I think Sony did a good job of keeping that till the end. I think it was probably the best showcase. They had the longest gameplay of it, and that, to me, the fact that it was looked all in-game stuff was the best part.
Yeah.
That means this is, because one of the things I hate about E3, and we talked about with trailers, is here's a thing that's made in-engine. Yeah. Don't give me fucking in-engine. Give me the game.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about that. As much as I hated the QuickTime events, like, I understand why they had to do it. It just seemed like a lot was going on in that small sequence we saw.
But it was, I think...
And the game's a lot bigger than that, obviously.
If they've learned anything from ending a Sony conference over the last couple of years, usually they go for something like Uncharted or something like The Last of Us, and they choose a really heavy, scripted part of the game to do it. But that doesn't mean that the whole game revolves around that. But interestingly enough, they were showing off, like, dynamic AI in Last of Us, where Ellie threw a rock at the person during the E3 presentation, and everyone was like, whoa, like, what the fuck? Yeah. How is she that smart? But this one, a little bit more QTE, but definitely look beautiful. Lots of really cool stuff going on with it. It looks like they're really going deep with the villain pool as well. Mr. Negative.
I saw Kingpin.
Showing up.
So again, to me, as somebody who grew up on the 90s cartoon, like, Kingpin was the main enemy. You had Green Goblin, obviously, in there, and you had a few other ones.
There was
Venom,
a little bit of a...
But Kingpin was always the one that was there.
There was a Green Goblin, like, banner somewhere. It wasn't Green Goblin, but whatever his real name is, I forget now. But, like, it was, like, so-and-so for mayor or whatever. So there's definitely going to be some hints at some bigger stories.
And I wonder if they call it... So, I might be thinking way too hard into this, but if they call it Spider-Man for PlayStation, like... does that mean they're going to build, like, is this a platform that you build upon
Could
and
be.
just do DLC of like, hey, buy a Green Goblin story DLC,
I wouldn't be surprised if there is some DLC, but I think they'll sequel it. I think if it does well enough. I mean, you're looking at basically the guys that made Ratchet and Clank here, who know how to make a game look goddamn beautiful,
Yes.
and also how to make impressive sequels that improve upon the original. So as long as they get the core mechanics down in this first one, I can see it breaking out like a Batman series where it's like, okay, if it's the first time someone's got Spider-Man really, really right. Mm-hmm. Although Spider-Man 2 was pretty close.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is pretty good.
Yeah.
But so final thoughts on Sony? What's what would you give you overall Sony here?
I got my ton of VR prediction right with a few new IPs. I got my Something Today prediction right with Marvel vs. Capcom story mode. As far as the overall, I would give them somewhere between a B and a B minus. I don't think they were anywhere approaching an A because they lacked that part at the end. But they did a solid conference, really well presented. I think all the games that came out were stellar. And as a VR fan, I would say solid B.
Yeah.
Just
if you didn't have VR,
for non-VR,
then,
B for VR, because that Skyrim announcement was really like...
I'm in the same boat as you were. Like, I've said it's a solid conference. I think last year, they blew their load and showed too much. So what are you going to show this year? And I had been saying that for a while. It's like, what are you going to show us that you haven't already? And that's what was missing was the new stuff. They didn't have that one. Like at the end, if they'd been, oh, by the way, here's the one, because we all want that one last thing, one more thing.
Definitely didn't get my handheld.
You didn't get that.
Definitely didn't get my handheld.
So it was a solid conference. I'm excited for a lot of these games. Some games I'm more excited than others, but there is, in my opinion, on that list something for everybody, which is what E3 needs to be.
Less indies than I thought there was going to be.
They didn't do indies last year though.
Yeah.
So I think it's
when they go indie heavy, I quite like.
I think PSX is for indies.
Yeah,
because that's the more focused audience. Because think about it, E3 is more for because E3 is one of the few times video games goes mainstream.
Yeah.
So you want to get the Spider-Man's going to make more headlines than fucking Ori and the Wisps.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it is.
Look at that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into when we hit into Microsoft. But I think there's overall solid conference. Could have been better, but based on what they showed last year, I mean, I think the conference last year was a once every 5 to 10 year conference anyway. So I'd give them a B if you're a VR guy, B minus if you're not.
Cool.
So
we are in agreement.
Moving on to Microsoft. Yeah.
Microsoft. All
right.
Microsoft. Let's go through.
Let's start off. I got the whole fucking press release here. I'm not going to read all of it, but I've got everything they announced.
Well, let's get into the obvious one, and then you can start getting into specs.
Let's start where they start with.
Start at the start.
Let's start with the start. So, Project Scorpio officially has a name.
Xbox One X.
No. Xbox One X. Not S, X as an X-ray. So, thoughts on the name? Do you care?
Not a huge amount, but
it's not bad.
I think Scorpio is better than X.
I think
honestly,
it's not bad. It's not good.
It's not great, is it? I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not as stupid as the Xbox One, I think, which I think was an awful name to name that console.
Yeah.
Xbox One X just seems weird. So it's almost like, is it Xbox 110? Is it like
Windows 10? That was my first thought. Was Windows 10?
Extreme? Is it? It just kind of, it doesn't really fit. Someone made that pun that I made at the beginning there, where like the title looked like a gamer tag, where it was like little X, big X, Xbox, which I thought was hilarious.
And by the way, if you take Xbox One X and you go like this, it spells Xbox One or Xbox. Xbox One X.
Well, that makes sense.
It spells Xbox if you go vertically. So take
maybe that was it then. Like, it spells the same this way.
The only issue I have with the name is, again, picture mommy going in the store, not knowing what she's buying, and saying,
"My console boy."
Well, no, my kid wants
one more X, and we're in naughty territory.
My kid wants that Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does he want the Xbox One X or the Xbox One S?
Yeah.
So close a name. That was one of my initial thoughts was like, oh, which one? And either the kid's going to be real happy because mom's going to pay way too much for a really nice console, or kid's going to be sad because mom didn't buy the right one. So
that is fair.
I feel like that's a thing that's...
Looks-wise, they differentiate a lot, though. So you could quite easily just say the smaller one.
It is literally... So that's what got me. Let's talk about that. It is the smallest Xbox ever made, which Xbox has not been known for being teeny tiny.
No, they're usually big brick things.
The One S is teeny tiny. But that's also
a refinement, though. That wasn't a new machine.
Yes.
This is impressive. Impressive size.
It's the smallest Xbox. Does
Cooling
4K.
System?
Yeah, liquid cooled.
Yeah, liquid cooled. That's pretty dope.
So the Xbox One X, game's better. By the way, I got that one right. They fucking said game's better on Xbox One S the whole damn time. The world's most powerful console begins rolling out on the market on November 7th. So we got a release date for $499 US, to quote Sony. Actually, they were $599, weren't they?
They were $5.99
Yeah.
for the PS3. Yeah.
So I was half right on that prediction. I predicted $3.99 and a $4.99 bundle.
They only had one option, didn't they?
Yeah, only one option. Okay. So that's why I was half right.
Yeah.
So I get
I'll
the
give it to you. I was trying to remember if there was another one.
So it supports 4K.
Ultra duper super 4K.
Yes.
Yeah.
It supports 4K 2160p. For those of you who don't know, that is like true 4K. 2160p. It supports 60 frames per second. Again, developer, as we found out, Destiny's not going to do it, but it's up to developer to do it. Ultra HD Blu-rays, which they've already done that.
That was the big differentiator between them and Pro at the beginning, I think, is that they were going to go with that, and the Pro decided not to, which I think upset a lot of people.
Yeah, HDR support and Dolby, sorry, I'm trying to see here, Dolby Atmos support, which is just a Dolby sound thing. So it was really interesting because, like, during the conference, because they announced they introduced the Xbox at the beginning, which they had to do because then everything was going to be called that. And then at the very end, they're like, it's $4.99. Like, they kind of, $4.99. They kind of like,
yeah, they shuffled it off a little bit, yeah.
Because I think they knew, but at the same time, like it's really fun being on. I have opinions on both the Pro and the Xbox One X. Now it's gonna be hard to say instead of Scorpio, because the same argument that people were making with PlayStation, they're making now with Xbox. And there's a bigger price gap between the Xbox One S, which that's on sale for only a week. It's going to go back up in normal price.
I wondered if the Pro was going to get a price cut, actually, and I'm semi-surprised they didn't, because that would have been a nice little extra kick. But yeah, I mean, as far as specs and everything, looks good.
Lots of teraflops, lots of GPUs,
DDR5 RAM.
So I think they've set themselves up well for the future.
Yeah.
We'll get into this with some of the stuff they announced, but I think that box is here to stay for a little while. I think it's going to be eventually what's going to happen is whenever the next half generation, whatever the fuck you want to call it now, happens, the Xbox One X will be the Xbox One S, and then they'll just jump it again with new technology. Because you're going to follow that suit.
I'm not super pumped about the amount of iterative versions of these consoles.
Me and David got in a heated argument about this the night after the conference, where I don't care, because the argument I made to him is I bought a PS4 in 2014. That's the one I've been making to you. I didn't buy the iteration because it wasn't enough for me. And I think of it kind of like, look at Apple with like you have the 6, the 6S, and the 7. Most people don't buy every phone.
Yeah.
Most people buy every other one.
But consoles were never like phones. That's the thing.
But technology's moving so much faster now. That's why I think it is.
don't like that they're going that route of.
Like, you don't have to agree with it, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that does appear to be the case. Sorry, I'm trying to readjust here. My legs are all sore. But yeah, I think it's something that I didn't ever want to see, and I'm pretty half pissed off about it. I know that a lot of people are getting pissed off with the iterative versions of these consoles, but at the same time, I mean, it remains to be seen when they are actually planning on going to the PS5. I know you have your opinions and stuff.
Yeah, that's what really pissed him off.
But we'll see.
Well, and I don't think, and the other thing too is I don't think.
Actually, at least they still hold value, a decent amount of value.
And I don't think PS5 is going to be a thing. It's well, Microsoft's doing this. I don't know if Sony's going to do it, but I really hope they kind of follow suit, where it's like they'll just do an
Plus.
It'll just be, well, they'll have some other name for it, but they'll just do the updates, and unless they do a technological shift somewhere where it's like, because now they're on x86 architecture, unless they change that architecture somewhere down the road because something new comes along, then I see a complete switch. But I think for the time being, if this is the best architecture we have, there's nothing come along to completely change the base of that. We're just gonna stick on that, and we're just gonna get new process. It's gonna be what computers do, just new processors, new graphics cards, that cycle of things. And
I wish they would make them as modular as computers, because you can buy a computer and then just buy a new graphics card every 5 years. Or whatever.
That's one thing they didn't announce it. I was like, I wanted them to.
You thought they were gonna be modular?
I didn't think they would. I kind of hoped they would. It was more of a hope than I think they would. Let's start off with the game they ended with, but it's alphabetical order on here, so I'm going to go alphabetical order on here. Anthem. To my opinion, the game that told me I definitely did not need to buy Destiny. What'd you think?
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at how much effort seems to have gone into that title.
It's BioWare.
We talked about, like, you were like, this is not the same BioWare that made Andromeda, and literally it's not.
Yeah.
It's the same BioWare that most people will remember. Andromeda was somewhat of a, I don't want to say a B team because they did a great job, but like not the main studio.
Yeah,
and,
you could. There was a clear, in my opinion, from somebody outside looking. There's a distinction between the two.
Can't have weird faces if you hide them with masks, guys. But it was, it was cool. Like, it looked really fun. Graphically insane. Like, as far as how
better on Xbox One X.
Yeah, the flying and everything was kind of a neat thing, and I really, really like the look of it, and I think it will be a day one purchase.
So this was my of the Xbox conference. This was probably the game I was the most excited for, and I went into the conference wanting them to give me a reason to buy, at the time, Scorpio Xbox One X, and they didn't give me one. And we'll get into some of the other stuff they announced, because they announced 42 games, 22 of them with some sort of exclusivity.
This was not one of the exclusive.
This was not one, and this was
multi-platform.
Yeah, it was multi-platform, and I was just like, well, I guess I could play this on my PS4 and be fine with it. Like, it won't look as pretty. I don't have a 4K TV yet, and I think it's one of those things. It's like, what do you do first? Do you upgrade the? It's kind of like the DVD Blu-ray debate. Do you make the DVDs do you make the DVD Blu-rays first, or do you make the player first?
Yeah.
How do you make that happen?
I feel like, and I mentioned this to you, that I'm losing a little bit of the
eyesight.
No, well, probably because I'm old. But in terms of like, because I don't have a 4K television, or HDR, I don't get to experience what these games are supposed to look like with full pro mode or whatever. So I feel like I lose out on a lot of this stuff anyway. So because I don't have the 4K TV, even though they are getting cheaper nowadays, there's nothing that's really compelling me to buy something for graphics alone. Right now, I'm looking for gameplay, and I'm looking for solid gameplay.
So this one, like I said, Anthem looks really cool. It looked to me like a combination of like Horizon Zero Dawn mixed with like Titanfall aspects with the mechanics, with Iron Man flying around. Like, it was just again, this was the game that's like, because I was, as you know, and I've said many times on the show, if you guys haven't, if this is your first time watching us, I don't like Destiny. It's burned me too many times. Not buying Destiny 2, knew that going into it, but this was like, I want that Destiny 2 experience, because I think that's a cool experience that they had going on, but they just didn't execute well. Yeah. This looks like, assuming EA doesn't fuck this one up, because EA's been known to do some stuff, this looks like it's going to be the game of the year whenever it comes out. I don't know if they give it.
I like that they're shared
date
world
on it
too. I think that's really
I just punched my mic. Sorry, guys.
That they're actually making it, like, in terms of a shared universe, something we could play together, or stream or whatever. I think it's going to be big for streamers, that game.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I'm trying to see here.
I have the full list as they were announced, but I know that you have this weird press release thing going.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I was trying to see if they had the. They didn't give it a release date for that, did they?
For Anthem,
I can't remember. I don't think they did.
I'm
90% sure.
2018.
90% sure.
2018 is what I got.
So the next one I got on here is The Artful Escape of Francis Vendetti. It's a console launch exclusive, and this is where I've got to say, console launch exclusive does not mean console exclusive.
What does it mean then? Because I was going to talk to you about this.
It means at launch, this game is coming out on. It's basically coming out on Xbox One first.
Okay,
that's what it means.
But it doesn't say how long the
nope, doesn't give it. It's not a time exclusivity. It doesn't do anything. That it could be 24 hours. It could be a week. My guess is probably going to be a week or two.
Okay.
Because the wording, and I hated one of the things Microsoft did during the conference that I absolutely hated was the confusion of, is this truly an exclusive? Is this because they're going to tout their shit because they want you to buy their box. Is this truly exclusive, or is this a thing that you just have exclusivity to for a short period of time? They said
world premiere a lot as well. And
world premiere just means they showed off first.
I know, but it made it sound like it was their, like, world premiere, exclusive, or not really.
Yeah. So The Artful is a video game about expectation, famous folk singers, lingering shadows, space gods, hallucinogens, individuality, reptile shops, and wild imaginations, an action-adventure exploration, narrative-driven, musical laser light battle kind of game. And his debut release is the debut release for Beethoven and Dinosaur. That's the name. That's the name of the developers. Beethoven and Dinosaur.
I didn't see anything about this game as they were announcing them, so I really have very little to say about it, other than it's nice to see
it's a
Xbox supporting indies.
Well, so they're part of the. I believe they're part of the Xbox Set ID. I've got that pulling here. Yeah, so they're part of the Xbox Set ID.
They did show saying
behind us. We'll have the screenshots up here, but it didn't show too much about it.
I mean, we talked about how Sony left indies out. Interesting that
Microsoft
put them in.
Destroyed it with indies. So Xbox Set ID, which is their big indie thing, they did a lot of things there. And there's one coming up I'm going to be excited to talk about. Ashen. Console launch exclusive.
Ashen was the Dragon Age-y, Dark Souls-y, interesting art style-y game, if I remember. I think Jordan probably would be a huge fan of this if I was a betting man. But yeah, it looked kind of interesting, didn't it? I mean, I'm not in the realm of people that really enjoys Dark Souls. I did like more of the Dragon Age aspects of it, but it looked pretty fun. The art style was gorgeous, And yeah.
So according to this, this just says Xbox E3 fact sheet. This doesn't say PlayStation anywhere, but it also is the Xbox E3 fact sheet. So who knows if they left that out for that time being.
Passive multiplayer is interesting. Means
Open world, high risk, stamina-based combat, and giant creatures.
Yeah, giant creatures is the way to go.
So, no price, no rating.
Release date 30th of April 2018. There you go. Look cool. I'm all right with it. I might try it, but I don't think I would. I don't think I would put it on my list of most anticipated.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Next big one, world premiere. This was the first time we saw this. I think officially. It's been fucking leaked for years.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Origins. What do you think? It's the Assassin's Creed Black Flag team.
I don't know. I will get it because I'm an asshole. I buy games that I'm not supposed to. But I'll get it because I really like the Assassin's Creed series. But I will say I was half excited, half let down. I was half excited because the locales were beautiful. I think that the kills and things like that were beautiful. I think that the story being set where it is with the original, like the birth of the assassins, if you will, is an awesome idea. I hated the flying bird mechanic because it almost makes the game too easy. Be able to climb up the buildings and scout your stuff. Like the flying bird mechanic reminded me of Far Cry Primal, where you had almost the exact same thing. You were like an owl or whatever, and you would fly above and you could like spot people. I just think it's such a gimmicky, shitty way to play the game. And I know I don't have to use it, but at the same time, I feel like they're going to force me to use it. And I think as far as new mechanics go, that really kind of let me down a touch. And that was the main thing they were focusing on. So unless there's more behind the hood there, I am cautiously optimistic about that game. You?
What'd you think of the skill line?
The skill line?
Yeah, the announcement that they were going to have skill lines. Because Assassin's Creed never really did like skill trees.
I mean, they kind of did in a non-RPG style. It was you would earn certain things along the way, but not quite as obvious as this one. I'm fine with it. I mean, it's you usually have to build your way up to being a master assassin, regardless of whether it's called skill line or just getting more weapons. So I'm alright with it. It's as far as a self-contained sandbox Assassin's Creed game. It looks great. The locale looks great. It's really interesting that they're focusing on ancient Egypt. I'm just really kind of hoping that they don't go too Far Cry with it and spoil it. That's my concern.
So the things they've highlighted, because I was pulling up the press.
No, go ahead.
The Q&As they did. We had a giant Q&A of them talking with somebody who headed up the game. The highlights are revamped narrative experience, action RPG elements, completely redesigned combat system, and seamlessly unique ranged and melee weapons. So I don't know. It looked pretty. I was excited just the way it looked, but I'm not going to buy an Assassin's Creed game going forward.
Right.
Like I'm just done with that franchise, and I feel like they need to move on. And I applaud them for taking a year off, but it just also confirmed to me how much I don't care.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part, and almost the most upsetting part about it is they took a year off to make this game instead of just like throwing them out there. What was really interesting, and I can't remember if it was in this conference. I think it may have been in a different conference. Was it this one where they had the team that made the sail part of Black Flag, and they just broke off and made a whole other game?
That's a different conference.
It was a different conference?
Yep.
Okay. But that was interesting that happened,
yes.
I thought. So, clearly that was a big mechanic for that game when they broke it out. But the fact this is the same team who came up with that clever mechanic, I think they let themselves go with this one. And I will remain judge-free until I play it, but my initial impressions were not like, oh my god, this is incredible, which is what I wanted, and I didn't get it.
Me and David talked afterwards, and it's just like they didn't add anything. You can't tell they took a year off. That's kind of what bugs me. That's what bugs me, I think, more than anything else. Is like you took the year off to fix and do something different. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Story's good, locale's good.
You didn't do anything gameplay wise that intrigued me or hooked me that I haven't already seen, unless they have something that they're going to pull out. But this thing comes out on October 27th.
Yeah. So
what are you going to do between now and then?
I'll talk with my wallet on that one. I think I'll wait and see how it goes. I assume the reviews are not going to be sterling, and I'll probably hold off on it until the sale, which is what I do. But yeah, I mean, it's, good on them for showcasing it. The showcase was terrible in the Microsoft conference. They just filmed a guy playing it on a fucking TV. Yeah. What the fuck? What was that about? Let's have some actual, I know they, after or whatever, it may have been Ubi's actually. Yeah. But one of those conferences, they had one where it was just, they filmed it on a TV screen, and we were just like, why?
Yeah, I have actual gameplay footage.
I think it was Ubi's conversation.
This is going to support PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, so it's going to look even prettier on there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It didn't really do anything that I
It didn't.
It didn't show anything off to me that I hadn't already seen in an Assassin's Creed game, and I'm already tired of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
That's the best way I'm going to put that.
That's a good way to put it.
Next one, Black Desert.
That was the
Sandbox
MMORPG.
Yeah, sandbox-oriented MMORPG featuring next-gen graphics, full action combat, and an immense, seamless world full of adventure and danger. Travel through the lands in search of treasure, adventure, or become one of the top craftsmen in the land. Set up trade routes and breed horses, or compete against other guilds in epic siege warfare.
If you're going to set up a trade
Are you breeding
route,
horses? Or are you breeding with horses?
I would hope it was the former.
I hope you're breeding horses, not breeding with.
But yeah, it looked fine. Like, again, nothing that blew my mind. I would play it. I would give it a shot. I don't think I would pay full price on it.
Question for you. This part of the conference where they kind of went bam, 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 bam. How much of this do you remember? Because it all is just one giant blur to me. Nothing stood out. I was like, oh, shit.
These
are all. I had to look up the names afterwards.
I was smart, and I made a few kind of notes that I wanted to comment on while we were going along.
But I didn't.
All I literally wrote about this was MMORPG Black Desert launch exclusive, and then I wanted to debate with you about what a launch exclusive meant, and we already answered that question, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But no, it looked fine. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I don't know if I would necessarily be the first to pick it up.
Next one, Code Vein, Bandai Namco.
Code Vein looked
World
dope.
Premiere.
I liked it. Awesome Japanese RPG. Looked pretty impressive.
I think this is the one, as soon as I saw it, I go, this is Tom.
There was more Japanese games in the Microsoft conference than I was
fun fact about that, Phil Spencer is no accident. Has been spending a lot of time in Japan recently. So I think that's a push they're doing.
Do you think that's a direct answer to Sony? Do you think it's because Sony usually gets the Japanese games?
I think it's just because Microsoft just doesn't have the Japanese. Microsoft never had the Japanese market, and they never really went towards the Japanese
American
market.
Console.
They also when they launched though, they didn't. One of the biggest regrets. Did you ever watch the E3 presentation last year where they had Seamus Blackley? I want to say Pete Hines. That's not right. Who was the old guy? The other guy. He used to be at EA.
I don't know.
I can't remember. I can picture him in my head, but I can't remember his name right now. It's not Pete Hines. It's going to drive me crazy. And Phil Spencer on, and they basically asked him, like, what's the biggest regret you guys have as the Xbox legacy? And they said not focusing on Japan when we launched.
Yeah.
And they're like, not that we wanted to focus on the US because we knew we wanted to get the US done, but not spending more time in Japan because it's such a huge market. We kind of let Sony just own that.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to fight back and get it back. So it's cool that you see this, and I think Phil Spencer's going to put more and more, like, you see where they do they announced, I'm going to say this, they announced backwards compatibility for original Xbox games. They're pushing more and more of that kind of stuff. I think the next big push is going to be the Japanese market.
I'm fine with that.
So
I think that's what they're missing, honestly. I think if they can make inroads in the Japanese community and bring some exclusives to the Xbox, that's more likely to make me want to buy an Xbox.
Yeah. What do you think of the announcement of the original Xbox games on? Because I was more excited about that than 360 games.
I'm claiming it as a prediction because I said they would announce either a new UI or a fantastic new compatibility feature, and
So my big question for that is,
I'm okay with it.
Does it have to use the disc?
That they didn't explain very well.
Because I'm one of the people that still have my discs.
Right.
Like we have them all over
I
in the shelf.
assume it's the same way they did the 360 games. But they didn't.
The other
really
question then, if you don't have the disc, because they're harder to find than 360 games, can you buy these games like $5? Because that'd be cool for that.
I don't know.
Or Game Pass. If you subscribe to Game Pass, you get that whole library.
Interesting. I like the way they showcased like some of the games that people would be looking for, like Crimson Skies and stuff. But it's they could have gone in a little deeper in that section, but I think that probably that announcement had the most raucous applause of any during the conference.
Which is what happened with...
which is a good idea.
Last time. I'm trying to see if they have anything in here about it, but I don't see anything.
No, it was a cool announcement. Good on them for looking after their people that have been with them from the beginning. Good on you for allowing more people to go back and get to some of the earlier titles that they maybe missed, and also give some business to those little stores that are still
Ace
selling
Combat
those.
has been the most requested game.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they said that, I was like, I mean, Halo's been redone. The big ones are going to be redone. I wanted them to get into like the more deeper cuts.
Yeah.
Just because there are games that like I don't remember playing, but I'm sure I played when they came out just because they were there.
Yeah.
And going back and playing some of those would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
it can't be a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
We officially Xbox One exclusive and Windows 10 exclusive. Crackdown 3. What'd you think?
Trailer was great.
I didn't like the cell shading. Yes, the announcement of it was awesome. But if you're trying to show off the Scorpio, cell shading is not the way to do it. If this is your launch title, which they announced it's going to launch, and I got that one right.
Yeah, congrats. I was meh on it. I mean, I like the fact that they are allowing completely destructible environments. I think it's a nice. It looked beautiful, especially when like the buildings were coming down and stuff. But honestly, like I said, the last time we talked about Crackdown, I've never been a fan. I always thought it was kind of like a weird GTA ripoff that didn't quite go as far as it needed to. So I am tempered expectations. I will play it probably at some point, but honestly,
I had no interest in it
really
at all.
Care. Yeah.
No interest at all.
But I did really like the reveal with Terry Crews. I thought that was very funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
The big one that's been just sitting there.
Oh yeah, this one came out, and then they just dropped a date, and they were like, "All right, that's all you want."
So
right?
this, I want to read this because it's actually quite interesting. So Cuphead, Xbox One, Windows 10 exclusive, available finally. That's literally in the press release. Beginning September 29, 2017, an Xbox Play Anywhere title. Cuphead is a classic run-and-gun action game heavily focused on boss battles. Inspired by the cartoons of the 1930s, the visuals and audios are painstakingly created with the same techniques of the era, i.e. traditional hand-drawn cell animation, watercolor background, and original jazz recordings.
Wow.
Play as Cuphead or Mugman in single-player local co-op as you traverse the strange worlds, acquire new weapons, learn powerful super moves, and discover hidden secrets while you try to pay back your debt to the evil.
Sounds like something we're going to be playing together.
It's weird, this game, because I'm super excited about this game, but they took too fucking long.
You're nervous?
No, I'm not nervous. So some insider business that I got when watching IGN and watching Kind of Funny is they changed a lot of this game. So like when Cuphead first revealed, it's just boss battles.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's cool, but like I want platforming. So then they platforming. And then they tested the platforming and they're like, this is shit. Well, fuck, we got to fix that. So like,
yeah, I
feel like that's why the game got delayed. They won't say that.
They listened too much to the fans. But at the same time, if they end up with something that is good, then I think they went a better route by allowing full enemies than just bosses.
Yeah.
The only game that successfully been just bosses was Shadows of the Colossus.
Apparently it's hard as balls too.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the hardest games.
I mean, it's people want it to be hard, so it's it looks good. It looks great. The art style, as always, is beautiful. I love the presentation. It was just very short and sweet. It was like, remember this game? Here's a date. Fuck you guys, we're out. Which I thought was great. It was a really good time. Another
console launch exclusive, the Darwin Project.
The Darwin.
What'd you think of this?
Otherwise known as Hunger Games, the game.
Yes.
It was all right. Again, it's one of those things where it's an interesting idea conceptually. Does it work well in multiplayer? I don't know. It was an interesting announcement where they had like the announcer death guy up there talking about it. But looks very, very kind of unique. If they can pull it off and it becomes sort of an e-sporty type title, then I'm sure it'll do very well. But for me personally, the art style didn't do it for me. The graphics didn't do it for me, and the gameplay didn't look to do it for me. So without playing it, it's hard to give a full opinion. But it looked interesting as much as I'll go.
Yeah, I love the survival aspect of it, but it's again to the point where there's so many survival games.
Yeah.
It's like, now what?
Yeah, so, but it does have a unique twist to it. It does seem very much like a Hunger Games-y type thing. But it's we'll see.
Deep Rock Galactic console launch exclusive.
Didn't see even what that was.
Yeah.
I assume it's
join a badass team of space dwarves and stylish co-op first-person shooter for one to fight, dig, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's an FPS game where you're dwarves. I mean, it was whatever.
We didn't say we got the press for it.
Yeah,
but I feel like Microsoft
it in between announcements. It was one of those that, like, if you went to the bathroom, which I think I did at the time, you would miss it. But yeah, it was just a kind of a spacey RPG.
This is the one I thought that looked like what's the fucking Astroneer? Like the art style looked just like Astroneer.
A little bit.
So I don't know. There wasn't, again, a lot of these games. I feel like with Microsoft conference, there's announcing too much.
Yeah.
And not announcing too much that doesn't stand out, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, indies are cool, and I love that, but I wish they just...
over quality.
If they just did, like, Xbox.ID, here's 7 indies that you need to play, versus here's 42 games, because we have nothing else. Sorry.
Well, I think that was a very conscious business decision by Phil Spencer. I think that he heard loud and clear that people wanted to see more games, but I think he kind of went like, oh, games?
What do we have?
Games you want?
Well,
here's all the games.
He's also like, what do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing, as we found out. So... Dragon Ball Z Fighters, Bandai Namco, world premiere.
I'm
not a fighting fan, but
I'm not a fighting fan. I'm not even a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm okay with it. I like it. I just don't watch it.
Yeah.
But it looked fucking beautiful. I think if you're into that, then you'll love the shit out of it.
Early 2018 release date.
Yeah.
So
who cares?
The thing they started the conference with, and I had a feeling they were.
Yeah.
Forza 7.
Look great.
Xbox One, Windows 10 exclusive, world premiere. 60 frames per second, 4K. confirmed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of awesome. Porsche.
By the way, this brings up a valid point. No GT in the Sony conference.
No.
Yeah.
They released a trailer this morning.
Did they?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or either
I
this
thought that was a
morning- either this morning
noticeable
or before.
absence.
Yeah.
Especially from VR.
Yeah. Maybe they're pushing it back. Who knows?
Sorry.
But this is confirmed. 60 frames, 4K, HDR support. Like this was their Xbox One X game to show it off. And I know you probably don't care, but that Porsche deal they signed is a huge deal in racing games. Like Porsche being with Microsoft is a big deal because I can't remember if it was them that had it or somebody had it for a while and lost it and then gained it back. So it might have been them, but.
Is it kind of like owning the rights to name the teams in FIFA?
Yes, yeah, same thing. Where it's like that makes a world of difference. Versus like now, if Project Cars comes in, Project Cars can't have Porsche because Microsoft
they can't have. They can have Scorch or Borsche.
Yep, but not Porsche
or Torsch
or Porsche.
Interesting.
The Last Night. What'd you think of this guy? The Cyberpunk.
The Last Night I thought looked fucking great. I'll tell you why. It had
Tell me why.
One of my favorite songs of all time, which is there's a Lawn. There's a group, a guy called Lawn, and he has this acid. I think it's called like Acid Rain or something, where the video for it is a bunch of dead cheerleaders dancing. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, oh. Okay, I'm taking notice now, and it looks gorgeous. It reminds me of the old flashback style animation. It's like a neo-noir game.
What was that game that Jordan showed us a while ago? That's what it reminded me of, is that shooting game he played.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can't think of what it was off the top
but
of
it
my head.
almost looks like Blade Runner the game, and I thought it looked beautiful. Really excited for The Last Night. Is it console exclusive?
It is launch exclusive.
Cool, so at least I'll get to play it.
Yeah.
Look great.
Life is Strange Before the Storm is what I'm trying to say there.
Surprise. Very surprised by that.
Very
one.
surprised by that. Me and David had a debate whether this was made by Don't Nod because Don't Nod announced another game that's coming out. So it's like, well, what are they doing? And it was Don't Nod. I can confirm. I looked it up, and it was Don't Nod.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was planned as some kind of DLC, and they broke it out in the Telltale style into like Michonne had a 3-episode version.
It's
of
a
the
3-chapter thing. Are you intrigued at all? I've never finished Life is Strange.
I need to finish the first game,
Yes.
honestly. I know that apparently there is a big payoff by playing through the first game all the way.
I'm in the same spot.
My tempered sort of expectations that were met by that game, but yeah, if they're going to continue it on, if it's going to be a big thing, I might have to actually get off my ass and play it. I was excited. I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
I mean
it's more
the
Life
art
is
style
Strange.
is still exactly the same, so there's no like graphical boundaries that were left there. But if you love that game, then why not have more of the same?
Yeah. Also, if you pre-order it, you get an additional episode where you get to play as the main protagonist again.
Interesting.
So, this is one. So we were talking about things that didn't stand out. This one stood out to me. Metro Exodus.
This one
from
I'm
Deep Silver.
super excited about. You know, I'm a huge Metro fan.
So-
great games, and this is an open world.
This is probably the best trailer that was shown off.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Right after Forza too.
Yeah, it was so good. I'm not going to play it because again, just not my style of game.
Scaries.
It's scaries and shooties, and I'm just like, it's weird because I feel like, what's your style of game? Fucking online with friends,
Something that doesn't scare me.
or sports that don't scare me. But this looked really good. Like it was very much like, holy shit, this is going to be a good game.
Yeah. The original Metros were made by very small companies. And so you had Last Light and just Metro 3033. It's based off a book, a Russian book. I forget the guy's name because I'm sure it's fucking massive. And basically...
Dmitry Goloskosi.
Yeah, exactly. And basically he
Nailed
made
it.
these books that were written about after nuclear war, if people sort of abandoned themselves into the metro stations of Moscow, then how would they, go about surviving from that point when they can't really go out into the open world? So all these kind of metro systems were set up where each metro stop was almost like a different style of community altogether. So you'd have like a Nazi metro stop where everyone was like skinheads. You'd have like, different variations. But then, of course, because of the radiation, you have these like, radioactive dog things and monsters and horrible beasties that were trying to kill you, and they would be in between the tunnels but also outside, and outside you'd have to wear a gas mask and everything because of the radiation levels. So those games were stunning. You like your currency was bullets. This is how smart they were. So you had to buy things with bullets, but then of course what do you lose if you're spending bullets? bullets. So you have to decide between, how much you really needed that med pack versus like how much do you really need 10 extra bullets.
Yeah.
So really, really smart games, and this is fully open world, looked beautiful. I totally day one for me.
And it's a world premiere. It's not console exclusive. So again, the big things that Microsoft announced were not, other than Forza.
The most exciting things anyway.
Yeah, we're not that.
Yeah, really pumped on that.
Next big one, good old Warner Brother Interactive showed us some more Shadow of War.
Yeah, great.
It looks good.
Looks
we
wonderful.
already know a lot about it.
Yeah, you know what's weird to me though? I almost feel like all the enemies looked graphically better than the hero, which was interesting because the hero looked really like kind of like not as graphically pristine as I would have liked him to look, considering he's like the majority of the story. I don't know if it's just a cutscene thing or what, but he looked very like generic guy number one or generic Middle Earth guy number one.
I agree.
Whereas the amount of detail that went into the orcs was incredible. But yeah, this new kind of system where you can have people fight for you and you actually get to choose like your own army of orcs, kind of really, really interesting. It's a big build on the Nemesis system. The voice acting and all that stuff is always superb in that game. And the fact that the environments were so varied, because with the original Mordor game, you're in Mordor, so everything's kind of gray and, just gross looking. But for this one, there seemed to be a lot more of the rest of Middle Earth that you got to explore, like grassy places and snowy places. So sign me up.
Cool. October 10th. They were supposed to come out before then, but they delayed it.
Good for them.
This next one is cool announcement. It's also a little bit controversial. So it's like, you knew Minecraft was going to be there.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking Minecraft, and it's Microsoft. So they called it the Super Duper Graphics Pack, which gave you 4K HDR graphics, which is cool. I mean, Minecraft is not known for its graphic capability.
It's fucking Minecraft, man.
The other thing they announced was a cross-platform, unified platform, essentially, where
Except for
it doesn't matter what console. Yeah, it doesn't matter what console you're on, other than fucking Sony. I think you screwed that one up, Sony.
I don't know if it's all their fault.
Oh, it is. They came out. Microsoft has come out and said Sony didn't agree to this.
Why would they say that they would? Microsoft's always going to say Sony didn't agree to this.
Sony's not going to come and say we didn't agree to it.
Well, then you don't know.
So the fact that it's PC, even fucking Nintendo agreed to it. Like that's the thing is like Nintendo agreed. Why can't Sony? And that's the issue I have. So I feel like Sony sometimes like, especially right now, because
I think there's more there. I think maybe there's some stuff that we're not understanding from either side. But I wonder if there's demands being made upon PlayStation to do that. But again, that's just the fanboy in me talking. It is weird that they're not agreeing to it. But yeah, I mean, I guess the big question is here: does the world really need Minecraft in 4K?
I think it'd be cool, especially for VR. I mean, it supports VR. Picture 4K VR images going in your face.
I don't know if they can do 4K VR, can they?
But the assets will be 4K, so it'll be sharper image when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm sure it's
super sampling.
I'm sure it's great.
Science, text work.
At this point, Minecraft plays on a fucking Texas calculator.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
But the unification to me is the biggest thing there is the fact that, like, if Cody has it on his Switch and I have it on, well, I can't fucking play it on PS4, but if I had it on my phone, we could play together.
Yeah.
Or if my brother has it on Xbox and I have it on the Switch.
I mean, it's fine.
That's cool.
It's a good announcement. I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't want to have to buy it for the millionth time, but if it is just a pack upgrade, then that'll be good. But super duper graphics pack.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive. This is not coming to PS4. This is only staying on Xbox. What did you think of this?
The original game, I think, stayed exclusive as well, didn't it? Ori and the Blind Forest.
Actually, it might have come over at some point. I can't remember.
Not sure.
I don't remember.
I mean, it's fine. It looks great. It's the original game was an interesting little indie gem. This is an interesting little indie gem. I don't really have strong feelings towards it, but also like it more of this quality level of games, please.
Yes, kind of this is an indie game we want.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I probably won't play it, but I definitely I'm glad that it exists in the universe. So
my highlight of the fucking conference, like as dumb as this is. PlayerUnknown's Battleground coming to Xbox One, and it's a console launch exclusive.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Rumor means it's coming to PS4.
You had to fill me in on what this game was, and a lot of people that aren't in the know have no idea what this game is.
So this is a PC game that has taken over streams everywhere and people everywhere. Basically what it is you have 100 people on an airplane, drop down into this, it's an 8x8 kilometer map. And you have nothing on you. You have a backpack. You're a survivor. And you have to go around picking up stuff. So weapons, first aid, various different armors, that kind of stuff, and survive. That's the goal, is just survive. And what happens as it goes along, there's a few things that go. The circle kind of that you need to be in gets smaller and smaller, so you're all running towards a centralized point. And then if you're outside that circle, you have, I think it's 2 minutes between where that outside circle moves to the inside circle, and you'll die if you're outside that circle slowly.
So again, it's got that Hunger Games aesthetic to it.
It's done really well.
Yeah.
The other thing it has is airdrops. It has like red zone areas where if you happen to be there, you're gonna fucking die because it's gonna air raid on you. But this game is
huge game.
Fantastic. Like, it's really buggy. I posted in one of the groups I'm in, and I was like, "Yay, it's coming to console!" And somebody posted, "Have fun playing the buggiest game. Like, they need to fix it first." I was like, "Well, technically, right now it's early access, which is what it's going to go on is Xbox One game preview, which is why I'm sure it's not announced for PS4 because it's coming on Xbox One game preview." But I am super stoked for this. Like, this is when they announced it. That was my oh shit, this is cool moment because I'm excited about this game and I have no way of playing it right now.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's coming to console, I want to see if it's going to come to PS4, but I will buy it on Xbox because I want to play this game, and I have friends that want to play this game and friends that play this game that are going to buy it on Xbox, even though they already own it on PC because they love this game.
Interesting.
And it's an indie darling. It reminds me a lot of Subnautica when it comes to like not gameplay wise, but how much people love the game.
Gotcha.
So I could see this one. This is a game that kind of took off and nobody really expected it to. So
lightning in a bottle happens occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. Next one, Sea of Thieves. I can now talk about this. Finally, I've been playing, so I've been in some of the alphas. I couldn't talk about some of the stuff because it was not publicly announced yet, but they have more alphas going on, which is kind of cool. So, well, betas. I don't know when it's going to switch. But Sea of Thieves is the rare game, and I have very strong opinions on this game because I don't think it's very good.
Really?
I don't think it's good at all, partially because I don't have friends to play with. If you don't have friends, don't play this game.
It's not a good solo experience.
Not a good solo experience. I played multiple times with multiple different people, both on and off mic, and didn't enjoy my time.
Randos just not doing it.
Yeah, if you had it, if David had it, if Cody had it, if we had a group that was like, we're going to go play Sea of Thieves, we fuck around enough in Elder Scrolls. Like, that would be a perfect game for us, but the solo experience is not good. What I did like that they showed off that hasn't been in what I've played is the on land stuff. Like, you in the stuff I played, you go on land and explore a little bit, but they're like, here's a whole area.
Yeah, they seemed to open
like,
it up quite a bit, didn't they? Like, I was under the initial impression it was a lot of just kind of sailing around and stuff, but it does seem as though the game's got a lot more depth to it now from the original showing, which is good. It has that signature rare art style, which is beautiful. I thought it was interesting looking. I would not be opposed to picking it up, to be honest with you. But again, it would be something I would only probably play on a stream or with friends.
Yeah, it's not like... I don't want to shit on it because if you have people to play with, it's going to be a fun experience. But me personally, from what I've played and what I've seen, no. It's a big no, and it makes me sad because it's rare. Like, I was so excited when they announced it. I was like, oh, yeah. But we'll find out later on that there's a game very similar that I'm like, fuck yeah, give me that. Next one, State of Decay 2, the other Xbox One exclusive. I think they had 3 total. I literally put in my notes, generic zombie-looking game.
Yeah. I mean, it's
people are excited about it. I don't get the excitement. I'm done.
If you like the first one, you like the second one probably more. That's all I really have to say about that. I mean, State of Decay is a decent game, by all means. But yeah, it's just if you like the first one, you'll like the second one. Yeah, that's all I can say.
I don't have much to say about it because I'm like, I look.
This one was interesting. This next one,
Super Lucky's Tale. So. This is an Xbox One exclusive.
We both initially had feelings of
We thought it's Conkers when they first, because they popped up and you can see the little dude's his head. Fun fact, this is actually a VR game that's being ported to... So, I don't think it... I'm excited for this game, but I don't think it looks that good. Like, it looks very...
I thought you would be all over this because it looks exactly kind of like a ukulele-style platform.
The problem I have with it, though, when you look at the worlds aren't that good.
They're not?
They're very generic. Okay. They look like they took building blocks and... I have to see what it looks like. Like, I need to see more gameplay. I want to go a little bit further before I pass complete judgment on it. I would lie to you if I didn't say I was. At this point, I'm not excited for it. I'm intrigued by it, so I'm gonna follow it and kind of see what it becomes.
Perked.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's coming out. It's a launch. It's a launch title, November 7th. But I just want to see kind of a little bit more from this game. I probably will play it just because it's a fucking 3D platformer, and I love those. It's good. It's that's just how I am. But
It was very cutesy. I was
let down. I was let down when it wasn't Conkers. That's I think was the problem.
I can see that.
That was such a troll move by them. I
think it was definitely aimed at a younger audience, like not just because like Ratchet and stuff like that. Despite the fact it has the aesthetic of an old Rare game, it's still kind of aimed at adults. This one looked like it was legitimately aimed at like under 10-year-olds.
Yeah,
but which is fine because the gameplay looked decent. So
we'll
see, I guess. But it looks all right.
So last one. This is a game I've known about for a little while, and people have known about a little while. Tacoma. It's from Fulbright, same people who did Gone Home. Good old Steve Gaynor, he gave us a Gone Home code back in the day. So thank you, Steve. I'm interested by this, intrigued by it. I don't know how I feel about it per se, just because it's cool looking, it's a cool concept, but it doesn't quite strike it with me yet.
Need to see more.
But I don't know if I will. That's the problem. It's like I've seen so much of the game already that I'm like, this is a cool concept, and I want to try it, but I'm like, part of it depends on price. Available August 2nd. I don't think they gave price for it, though. August 2nd is when it's coming out, but I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I want to play it, but at the same time, I know it's a game I probably won't enjoy personally, but it's not a bad game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It seemed fine. I mean, like I said, I wasn't super pumped on it or anything, but I would definitely give it a shot. Not a show stealer by any means, but Gone Home was a solid game, released all over the place, so be interesting to see how it goes. I will say they did have like a couple extra things I think that we've missed from the main press release. Number one is that they had that kind of like that indie montage, which we've picked up a couple things from there, but the Conan Exile stood out to me from that indie montage. I thought that looked really interesting. I know that you're uncertain about that, but
well, it's one that PC Land has been screaming about for a while.
Right.
So
it just looked
I haven't seen enough of the game to give
like
a comment
a million blurring images were flashing up in my face in true Microsoft style. That one sort of stopped and gathered my attention for enough time for me to go, I'm going to write that down because that looks interesting. And then they announced a ton of free 4K updates as well. Did you notice all that stuff?
I did. I knew Halo was in there. I knew Gears was in there. I don't remember what the other ones were.
I don't either. But it was
there's about five.
The fact that they were like, if you have existing games,
it's what PlayStation did when the Pro came out.
Yeah,
same concept.
We'll give them a free makeover, which I thought was a nice little side bump in there when they announced the OG Xbox games.
Yes.
So that's your Microsoft conference.
Moving on to Nintendo.
Before we move on to Nintendo,
it's me, Mario, and we've got the Nintendo Switch announcements. How you doing, Luigi?
I'm here. I'm talking on the microphone.
Oh. Yeah, we got Nintendo Switch announcements, guys. We also got some Tom's had these for a little while. The mustache is just...
It had to be done at some point. I was like, you know what? It's time to put on the Mario and Luigi
We should have saved this for any PopCon.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have done that.
But yeah, let's talk Nintendo, man.
Because
there was some exciting stuff going on there. We just came off of the back of that. And let's start with the opening, which was that we got to see Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Which I don't know how I feel about him. This mustache it's pulling my chin hairs.
Yeah, you'll get used to it. Reggie, it was nice to see, not a weird Nintendo Direct thing, but have Reggie come out and have
Nintendo
Spotlight performance.
Which was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. So, first things first, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was announced. I could care less about this franchise. It's a JRPG. Not my thing.
I think for fans,
people are going to be super stoked about it.
Yeah, for fans, it's big time good stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's one of the sort of the more loved Nintendo franchises out there. Oh, yeah. So again, it's Japanese heavy, but I mean that's what a lot of people love from Nintendo. So it was really great. Show opener material. I don't know if it was, but it was definitely great to see. But then they folded it up with something that was
we didn't expect. Kirby coming 2018. They literally just said Kirby 2008, Kirby, and then 2018. Traditional Kirby game, 2D platforming, lots of I was gonna say lots of sucking. That's true. lots of Kirby sucking.
It looked great.
4-player.
It looked beautiful.
I was excited.
It's going to be on the Switch, so you'll be able to take it with you on the go, which is really, that's the kind of the nice thing about it. It's really hard to scratch your nose with these gloves. The really nice thing about a lot of these is that they're kind of, you have to think about them in two ways. You have to think about, okay, this is going to be really cool to see this on a console, but also every single one of these is going to be in a handheld too. So it was almost like you were getting a bonus with every game they announced. It was like, oh yeah, this is handheld, as well as full, full screen. But look great.
Kirby, I didn't see fantastic. Kirby wasn't in rumors anywhere. Nobody leaked it. Like,
Do you think they're going to stick with the Kirby title, or do you think they're going to call it something else?
they're going to call it something else. It's going to be Kirby, and it's going to have a subtitle.
Really weird.
So
Nintendo
Kirby, like
subtitle.
they did Kirby like what was the last Kirby game? Yarn,
Epic Yarn.
maybe.
Yeah. And then we got
The game we knew about.
one of my predicaments.
Well, the first one we knew about, Pokken Tournament,
Yeah.
was announced at the Direct about a week before
bombshell.
E3. And then the big one, Game Freak developing a core RPG title on Switch. May not release for more than a year, though.
Yeah.
So I
that
kind of
was
got this right.
That was to temper your expectations, folks. But at the same
Yeah.
time, full Pokemon RPG. We had rumored this before because there was
You
a
take this off,
thing
it
with.
hurts.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Well, keep the hat on, though. Uh-oh.
It's stuck to I don't know how to get rid of this. It looks just like there's a caterpillar on the table. Anyway,
Pokemon.
we had talked about this as something that Game Freak said they were hiring for people to make a core RPG on a
Rumored
new
codename
console.
Pokemon Stars.
And so they confirmed it. I mean, they didn't show us anything. They didn't tell us what it's called, but they
And the
said
fact
we
that it said
are making a
core
full-on core RPG Pokemon.
by Game Freak. So this was that good. I mean, that's gonna sell units, even if units aren't sold before then, but they will be based on this. This, in my opinion, was the best presentation.
It's a good something to look
E3.
forward to, and I think that Nintendo did really well with the majority of these surprises. And
Next
followed that
one.
up with another one.
Metroid Prime 4,
Yeah.
now in development for Switch. No date, no information other than that.
Nope, very, very succinct
Just a
little
title screen, no-
thing. Just a number 4, and Metroid
Yep.
Prime. Metroid Prime hasn't been around for like 7 years or so, and that was, again, a prediction that I want to claim credit for. And, I mean, a lot of people freaked out about it, despite the fact it was just a name. But, again, that's really all you have to do at this point is tell us that it's coming. And I think for a lot of Switch folks, yourself included, that hadn't quite made the jump yet, it wasn't even so much that you wanted to see the games going and running. It's just you
I just
wanted to
know it's coming.
they were coming.
Yes,
And I think
I
that
don't
they
care
did a
about
good job of
Metroid.
that.
I mean, that's a franchise like I personally don't care about on the Switch, but I know there's a lot of people who want it.
Big
so
fan
I'm,
base.
I'm cool for that.
Yeah.
Next one I'm more excited about, Yoshi.
Yeah, right out of the park.
2018. It looked like this had gameplay. It looked a lot like Yoshi's Woolly World, but with paper.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit more of like. Do you ever play Yoshi Story on N64?
I think I played it with you, maybe. No, I didn't.
No. But Yoshi Story, it reminded me a little bit of that, but it was a little bit more papery. Look, you initially thought it was Paper Mario, and I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
when
Yoshi.
they showed the like the cardboardy thing,
Yeah,
I thought
I was
it
like,
might
that's
be Paper
Yoshi.
Mario. But no, I mean it's another game that just again we'll probably get a subtitle at some point. But for now, they're just saying Yoshi 2018. Look beautiful, play beautiful. It's exactly what we want. Thank you, Nintendo.
So I'm interested because Nintendo did a lot of like spreading out of their first party titles, which is what they need to do. So they had one in the spring. They're having Zelda. I was like, I can't think of the name of it. Zelda just came out in the spring when the system launched. Splatoon, Mario Kart, Splatoon, and then this fall you've got. It's jumping ahead, but Mario Odyssey we're going to talk about a little bit. We'll save that for the end. Fire Emblem. So like, they spread them out. So I'm wondering if like. They say Kirby 2018 and they say Yoshi 2018. Is one of those going to be a summer release, one going to be fall, one going to be spring? Like, how far into 18 are we
Hard
talking?
to tell. I think they're trying to space them correctly while they're waiting for the third-party content to catch up. But I think people are taking it more seriously than they ever took the Wii U right off the bat.
Speaking of third-party, I was kind of surprised we didn't see any Skyrim in here, but I guess...
Yeah, I mean,
touched-
they sort of talked about it
they touched on
Bethesda,
it.
so they didn't have to worry about it. And they did touch on it and say that you're going to get that Link outfit, which it looks weird
Cool.
as shit, but
Yeah.
it is cool that you get to kill things with a Master Sword. So.
Fire Emblem Warriors, fall of 2017. That's another Switch first-party title we're getting
Big
again.
one for a lot of people. Been waiting for a new Fire Emblem. If you play the iOS Fire Emblem game and you're into it, time for a full one for you. Look really great.
Yep.
Standard stuff.
Again, I don't care about that franchise, but I know there's a lot of people who like will fucking lose their shit because of that. I mean, it's a game we already knew about, but
yeah,
a little bit more.
Nice to get some more information.
Zelda DLC. We know the 2 DLC packs that are coming this year.
We do.
Master Trials, June 30th, is going to be new armor, Hero Path mode, which I didn't understand what that was, and then
I didn't really get that either.
and then Master mode, which looks like no HUD.
And they had Trail of the Sword or Trail of Sword as well, which was like I assume some kind of an extra story part to it.
Yeah.
And then they teased, of course, another DLC for
Champions-
Zelda coming after, the Champions Ballad.
Yep.
Which was
Holiday
Holiday 2017. But again, this is a prediction I made, and I'm happy they're sticking to it. I'm still really interested to see how they implement this as DLC, because Nintendo's like online whole situation right now is so bullshit that I'd be interested to see how they do this. But yeah, I mean, it looks great. It's more Zelda for people that love Zelda. That's all they wanted, and it's nice that they're including new modes as well as like actual traditional story expansion too.
I think it's one of those things where like the game did so well, the core base game's there, that it's easy to build upon, and I was like, what are you going to add? I mean, obviously you can add armor, you can add the weapons are cool, but like you need that one thing that's like, what makes this worth the money? Because otherwise, armors and weapons to me is not really worth it.
No.
Some people might be just because the nostalgia feeling. You can have the Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
You can have a Korok mask.
And they're bringing back, with the Champions Ballad, they're bringing back the Amiibos thing hard as well. That all of the guys in the Champions Ballad are going to be Amiibos.
Which I said when they said that they're going to be Smash Brothers. Like that to me that's going to be, they're going to be Smash Brothers. Diction. Yeah. They didn't release. That's probably the one big thing they missed during this that wasn't. And you can't really fault them because they had a lot of other stuff. But I wish they had said something about Smash Brothers, even if it was just a port and said here's because I thought they're gonna be like, and here's the new Amiibos for Zelda. By the way, you can use those new Amiibos in Smash Brothers. Like I thought that's where that was going.
Yeah,
it ended up not going that way. It ended up from the 4 champion Amiibos. We ended up going to Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Which was the Ubisoft.
Showed off in the Ubi as well.
The weirdest
Mario XCOM
conference. Yeah.
It looked fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like I don't like the Rabbids. Like, I like the Rabbids turned me off this game. If they had just make a fucking Mario XCOM without the Rabbids, I'd prefer it. But
you mean like Super Mario RPG style?
Kind of, but more like XCOM based, yeah. But it looked interesting. I don't really know what was going, because I know that like little blue thing is your cursor when you're in a battle, but when you're not in a battle, they were just kind of following it around. Yeah, the Roomba.
The Roomba.
But yeah, I mean, it's a Mario goddamn tactical thing with guns.
And one of the things I liked, and we'll touch on a little bit more during Ubisoft, because that's when they officially announced it, but Miyamoto came out on stage during Ubisoft and was like...
The most awkward
moment. It was real awkward because you have a French man that can't speak English, you have a Japanese man that can't speak English, and you have a translator that's like, I don't know what to say.
They're just holding guns and going, yes, yeah. And Eve's all like, yes. It was a
I think it went a little too long.
Yeah.
But what Miyamoto said was like, I'm glad we challenge you guys to do something different and not to do a platformer.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is not a platformer, and this is what I want from third-party Switch games if they're going to use the Nintendo license, or even first-party Switch games. I love Mario Kart. I love Mario Party. I love Mario Golf. I love Mario Tennis. Now we have Mario fucking...
XCOM.
Well, yeah, I was trying to think strategy, real-time RTS.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to think of that word. But we have Mario RTS. If they come back and they say, "Oh, by the way, we have a Mario RPG coming at some point," like fucking Switch is. If they do a lot of those little things, like you have the mainline Mario title with Mario Odyssey, you have Zelda, but I think they need to take their franchise and kind of branch out a little bit more. I'm kind of disappointed there wasn't Donkey Kong. There's one shot where there's the grass, and I was like, oh, there's going to be Donkey Kong, and it was not.
You did get one prediction right, though.
Yeah, Rocket League. Holiday 2017. I kind of already knew about that, but not officially.
So you're cheating.
No, I didn't cheat. I heard murmurs that it was going to happen. It made sense that it was going to happen. So I was kind of like, it's going to happen. But
it's going to have some bells and whistles.
Exclusive content, cars. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to be built into the game or if they're DLC. I'm assuming it's built in the game.
I assume for the Switch they're going to be built in. I don't know if they're going to make those things available to anyone outside of Switch. I wouldn't think so. But they did say there's cars coming, which I mean, when you think of cars and Mario, you're expecting the Mario Karts to show up. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it was cool, nice little, again, reason to pick it up for Nintendo.
And I think Rocket League, as I said in the predictions episode, Rocket League is perfect for the Switch. Like, it's local multiplayer
as well.
One of the features I said was the local multiplayer online, which is something that only Switch can do. So that was cool that they got that ready. But I could picture me, you, Cody, and all of our other friends that have Switch sitting down at a table at lunch and like, let's fucking play some Rocket League for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like that would be fun. And to me, that's. I won't play Switch often that much like that, but that's one of those games that will make me do that. Same thing like Mario Kart. Like, let's sit down and play Mario Kart.
It's a great game to have on this particular console.
Yes.
And it's the fact that they have an install base of players that are already heavily playing it means they're not going to be like waiting for
I'm interested to see, because it runs 60 frames per second on both Xbox and PS4. I'm interested to see what it'll run on the Switch. I'm going to guess 30.
We'll see.
I'm going to guess 30, but it'll be interested to see. And then the big one. I actually got a text about this one saying I thought they said December. I was like, nope, they just said holiday. Super Mario Odyssey, woohoo, coming out October 27th, 2017.
Yes, sir.
That'll be the day
Good
I
date.
probably get a Switch.
Good
I mean,
date.
for holiday. The problem I have with that date is it's so close to holiday that it's going to be hard to find. I'm kind of surprised they didn't announce, and I'm sure they might do in a direct or something, or just announce one, a bundle.
They probably will be.
They're going to be. There's got to be. But let's talk a little bit about because we saw a lot of Odyssey gameplay.
Yeah.
Hats. Important. I'm kind of interested to see what that
in
does.
general. Hats were definitely super important as far as to some of the gameplay elements, but lots of costumes.
You could take your hat and toss it at a thing and become that thing.
Possession.
It's still real weird with Mario with humans. I still don't like that. I'm still not a fan of it. I'm not as pissed off as I was before.
It's still weird,
that world
but
is
I like
not.
the idea of the possession mechanic and kind of being able to control like a silly like turtle or something with a mustache and just try and make him do stuff. Or a bullet
you
bill.
talk about using it for puzzling, which would be...
Yeah, it definitely brings an interesting dynamic to the idea of the game. I don't know how well it's going to play because possession stuff never usually goes like that. It's more like a hardcore puzzle game that you expect to see that in, not necessarily something that's more supposed to be like a fun platformer.
But it looked like from some of the worlds were the same ones we saw, like New Donk City we saw again, which Mario looked normal in that. There was one section where he's going around a tower in 2D, so he like did the Zelda...
Oh yeah, they did break away to a
wall.
lot of 2D areas, so it's almost like they're combining elements of traditional Mario.
Well, it looked like your 3D environment where you...
Oh yeah, but you were doing the circle
into the
around
wall.
the
Yeah.
wall. Yeah, and it was like old school Mario.
Yeah, so I don't know if...
There was some other sections that were just pure 2D though, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like there was one where they showed him running like to the left or the right.
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
sunset
yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
But I'm super excited. They had... I'm going to call it the Mexican world because I don't know what it's called. He had a sombrero on. Like
Mexican world.
It was Mexican world. He was in Mexico.
Mexican world.
They had that. They had New Donk City. They had jungles. They had a dinosaur area. Like there's a lot of different worlds. So I wonder if it's going to be like Super Mario 64, where you have the hub world and you go from there.
I'm pretty positive that's exactly what it's going to be.
Or if it's going to be, because it doesn't look like a level-based Mario.
I feel it's going to be a hub world, and I think that you see a lot in that original trailer that he kind of gets into these flying top hat machines, and then they fucks off to a different world somewhere. So I assume that Donk City is going to be your hub, and you're going to have to find.
I hope that's not, because I don't want to hang out there too often. That's still the one thing in this game that I'm like, I don't like that.
Well, maybe they'll make you like it. We don't know enough about it yet. We will say that they are doing the treehouse now, so hopefully more information has come to light during our recording of the show about New Donk City. But what it like did was that enough? Because you had previously had a whole big thing, tons of arguments, tons of like going back and forth with yourself and fighting, and you said, I need to see more on Super Mario Odyssey before I say yes or no to a Switch. Now, interestingly enough, Kirby and Yoshi and those other guys were the ones that kind of got you more excited about it. But what do you think?
So
worth it?
Yeah. So at this point, as a lot of you know or don't know, I have strong opinions on the Switch, and when they first announced it, I was like, there's no games for it, period. I still feel that way right now. I don't think Mario Kart's cool, Zelda's cool. I'm still waiting till the game base builds out a little bit, but this gave us, what I like about this, and one of the things us Nintendo fans have been asking for a long time, is give us a roadmap of where we're going. Because the problem with Wii U that we ran into is Wii U would have a game, you'd have a game here, cool, and then 6 months later, nothing happened. And then another game. This one, it looks like they're trying to do one every quarter, which I like. One big one. And then, again, the one that got me super excited was the Rabbids one, because that is a third party of like, okay, this is done right. Obviously, Rocket League is a good third party to have on there.
Like, surprise of the show, I think.
I've always said, like, for Nintendo, for the Switch to be successful, first party titles are going to be what sells the system. Third party titles are what's going to keep you on the system. And when I say third party titles, I'm not talking about, one thing they didn't announce here was Skyrim, as we said, was going to be there with Zelda and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that they've got to do is they got to differentiate themselves, because I'm going to play a lot of third party, like, graphics based games. So like the Zelda's, even Rocket League, like I said, I'd play it on here, but I'm also going to have on PS4. There'll be two reasons to do it. I feel like
there has to be a differentiating
there has to be
factor.
a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the games they announced gave that for third party. So you've got, I'm interested, I don't think the Rabbids one, it's a Switch exclusive, I'm pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure with like Rocket League, like it makes sense to get it on there because you're taking the console on the go, you're playing with your friends there versus PS4 when you're stuck at home.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that. I'm now saying by holiday 2018 or 2017, I will buy a Switch. If I have the money, or if I get it for Christmas, that's the thing, financially. But I'm to the point of interested in it, and
you're fully absorbed
and gonna buy it.
And invested at this point.
They've given me enough stuff that I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting into. I can go back and play Zelda if I want to. I won't play probably a whole lot of that because I've already watched enough people play it. But Pokken Tournament looks good. I'm still waiting for a big third-party game. Skyrim obviously is the big one that they announced, but I'm still waiting for that third-party game where it's like hardcore gamers, not EA basketball, not like I don't know. It's weird because I don't want that, but I do. Just to prove the Switch can do it. I think that's what it is.
I think you're right.
I don't play it, but
just to prove that it's something that's capable of performing at that high level. Because so far, everything I've played on the Switch has been beautiful, but then a lot of what I've played has been designed around a very specific art style. So it's going to be interesting to see how it handles things like Skyrim.
And I don't expect. Obviously, God of War is an exclusive, but I don't expect a God of War style game on there because I wouldn't play it on that. I'd play that on Xbox or I'd play it on a PS4.
Yeah, I'm taking my gloves off now.
Oh, I'm gonna. But I think Nintendo, a couple of things Nintendo has to do going forward. This is a great start, and I always have a list going on for things they can do better. Indie games is going to be a huge thing for them. Yeah. Indie games on the go, which they've already have nailed that down. Keep that going. Snake Pass. I consider Rocket League because they're technically independent, but there's a few other ones on there that I'm like, cool.
Snipper Clips.
Keep going. Yeah, Snipper Clips. Keep that going. The fun gameplay. One of the things Reggie said at the very beginning is games are meant to be fun. That's why I love Nintendo. I don't care as much about graphics. I just want, again, I want more of proof that it can do it and that the Switch is not going to be updated in 2 years because it can't run something third party. Interesting enough, we didn't get Steep on Switch. That was quite interesting because that's one of the games that I feel like
I would rather see Super Mario Snowboard Kids or something like.
But I'm saying, but like from a proof of concept of being able to run something because that's a game that had recently come out, and it, as much as I hate the game, it's pretty beautiful and pretty intensive. So I'd love to see that on there because it's more of, hey, this can do it, not have any lag. Concept, yeah. Because with the Wii U, you had the problem where people would port stuff over and they're like, I can't do this because it's not powerful enough. Right. So I don't know. I'm all for it. This was probably, in my opinion, the best conference of E3, and it's ironically the last one.
Shortest too.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Done. That's how you do it. I mean, Sony did the same thing. Sony would boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I feel like Sony eked it out for me just because of the VR announcements. But I was really, really impressed with Nintendo's conference. I'm
also a Nintendo fanboy.
I didn't
and you're
like,
a Sony fanboy.
That's very true.
So I tend to. So Nintendo, if they do well, I love them. If they fuck up, I hate them. Yeah, like that's pretty much where I'm at.
The only thing I would have liked to have seen more of from Nintendo was maybe more commitment to things this year, as opposed to like, well, this is 2018. This is 2018.
Well, you have Fire Emblem Fates. Or Fire Emblem Warriors, sorry. You have Fire Emblem Warriors, you have the Zelda's DLCs, both of them. You have Rocket League, and you have Super Mario Odyssey all this year.
The only one of those I give a shit about is Mario Odyssey, and maybe the Zelda DLC.
But that's not their fault.
I know. I'm just saying, like in terms of, for me, I would have liked to have seen more this year, but I am pretty happy with the stuff they announced as far as coming next year with the Kirby's and the Yoshis and all that kind of stuff.
This is coming from a guy who loves Sony and announces things that come out then 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah, I know, and I hate them for that too. Like I'm not exclusive with my hatred. Yeah. It is annoying when Sony does that as well, but when they do it right, they do it really.
What about Final Fantasy VII Remake? Where's that at?
I don't know.
That's a great question.
No, they should have brought that up.
No.
Probably save it for PSX. So all right. So
but no, overall Nintendo, I'm super excited. I'm now sold on the Switch, and I can firmly say, if you go back and watch any of our videos, I was really heated and animated on it, but they're doing exactly what I think they need to do. They're giving you consistent first party titles, filling in some decent third parties. I still want to see some more, like I said, bigger third parties. The Ubisoft is a good start, but I want to see something from they have the From Software one. They have other stuff like that. Like I want to see what else is going to be there.
I think seeing Eve Levine up there with Miyamoto was a cute moment. And it was like two big game companies that were getting together and having a good time and creating something special.
The two big games that were missing, in my opinion, from this was Smash Brothers. I wish they had done a port and or new one, and I don't. If they'd done a new one, it would have been similar to Metroid.
I'm quite surprised they didn't, actually. That's one that I'm surprised that I didn't get right.
Yeah. And then the other one, no, Donkey Kong, yes. But the other one that's more feasible, I guess, or makes more sense would be, what's the name of it? They have the Amiibo game where you played the board game, which was dumb.
Mario Party?
No, it's the animals. Animal Crossing.
Okay.
I was like, it's fucking Animal one. Animal Crossing. I wish they had some sort of Animal Crossing on there. Right. But just because I know how well that would do both portable and in console mode. So those are two things that are missing, but you can't fault them for what's missing. What's here is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm excited, hyped, ready to go. Again, best
conference. They did everything they needed to do.
Of the meh E3, it's the best meh of there. This was probably the only conference I was super hyped for, other than the VR announcements from Sony.
Yeah.
Like, that was, other than that, like, this is like, fucking Nintendo did it. Like, we watched Kind of Funny afterwards because I watch them all the time, and Tim Geddes, who's very similar to me, Greg's like, hey, you ready to record? And Tim's like, yeah. And they do the intro and he goes, fucking excited, everybody. I was like, yeah, my boy Tim Geddes knows how it is.
There you go.
So
I would say if you're a Nintendo fan and you have a Switch, or you're thinking about a Switch Solid B performance, if you are maybe like me and you're just kind of like, wanting more this year, but you are really happy about the stuff that's coming soon, then B-. So I would put them right up there with Sony.
I'd give this a B+ to maybe an A-. Like this, the fact that I think a lot of it was surprises that we didn't know. That's what gets me. That's what I think E3 should be about, is obviously stuff leaks and we look for leaks and all that kind of shit. But the fact that they kept Kirby under wraps, Yoshi under wraps is amazing. Those are two huge, big franchises. Yeah. I mean, the Game Freak one kind of got leaked, but
it was more of it wasn't so much a leak that it was happening as a kind of like, because this then that. Like it was someone that was kind of putting dots together on it, but it wasn't really anywhere near an official announcement.
So, and then obviously Rabbids was out of left field. So I think it's because of the surprises, and it's weird because we live in such a generation where, I mean, fucking Assassin's Creed gets leaked every year.
Yeah.
Ubisoft can't seem to shut that shit down, but Nintendo could keep 3 big franchises, 2 franchises, 3 games, quiet. And like, that's what I miss from E3 a lot of times. I feel like we know too much too early. Yeah. So that being said,
let's talk about the rest.
Let's go on to the best of the rest.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start with?
I say EA because they were the first.
EA was garbage. I'm gonna pull up your notes here because I didn't share my notes.
That's fine. So EA basically started off, and this is kind of, I like this about EA. They started off the conference reminding you of the stuff that you're already playing. So they didn't necessarily go balls to the wall, everything new, everything sparkly. They were kind of like, hey, you remember Battlefield 1 and how you like that stuff? Well, here's a brand new Russia campaign map.
Here's more of it.
Here's like a ton of nighttime mode, and there's all these new levels and stuff.
Which is, so I feel like nice. EA does a couple things. One, they build a platform to build upon for a year or two, which I think that's awesome, because I'd love to see games have longer lifespans than what they do when it comes to content creation for them. Or they drop new IPs, which are awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Battlefield 1 stuff, like
Battlefield 1 was
DLC.
just a nice addition. And then you had super awkward YouTube guy introducing Need for Speed.
If you haven't seen this clip, go look up Need for Speed. I can't remember the dude's name. Jesse something. Yeah, go look it up. It's real bad. What happened was his teleprompter went out and he didn't know what to do. And he's like, I'm a YouTuber. I make content. And I'm here to talk about, I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah, he just kept saying the same thing over and over again. Then he got the guy's like name wrong or something. And it was it was a whole hot mess of an introduction. But, I can't be too mad on the guy. That's a lot of pressure.
You know what really sucks, though?
What?
This is the first Need for Speed game I'm excited about.
Looks good.
And that intro kind of was like, takes away from the game itself.
Yeah, super let down by the intro, but the actual game looked really solid. It kind of looks like Fast and the Furious, the game. Was my initial thoughts.
So
about
it. I don't know if you know this, but I played the Need for Speed that came out last year. Bye, Luigi. Need for Speed that came out last year.
You're gonna have to really mess with the green screen on that one. You know that.
You're gonna lose some heads. We might just take the green out. Luigi last year. What was I saying? Oh, Need for Speed last year.
Yeah.
I bought Need for Speed last year, and I was like, I'm going to play it, because I hadn't played it since Most Wanted, which was 2008.
Way back.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll jump back in. This looks good. The cars look cool. Gameplay, all that kind of stuff. Nope, not a fan. Didn't like it. I'm hoping that this looks a little bit more up my alley. And like I said, I was excited. They announced it before E3, and then they gave more information at E3 for it.
The trailer was one of the better gameplay / cinematic trailers I saw throughout the entire conference. And I'm not a Need for Speed fan at all. Like, I don't really care. That game trailer made me care.
Yes.
Because it looked like they put a lot of thought into the set pieces. They were almost like, GTA style set pieces. The fact that the cars looked so cool and shiny. There was so much like damage and wreckage on the road and fire, and I just thought it looked
the big thing I want to see is customization. How much customization is there? And they did I don't know if it was I can't remember if it was a conference or if it was something I watched outside of it, where they did you can pick up like busted cars and build them up and salvage them. So that was cool. And they showed cars. They showed a lot of customization, which I'm excited about. the problem I have with the games usually is they're locked behind something.
Yeah.
So how quickly can I customize? How much do I have to do?
The story mode looks interesting, though. Like, that's why I said it was more like Fast and the Furious. The fact that you're kind of pulling off these bank jobs and stuff like at high speed, I think a lot of
the fact that we're talking about a Need for Speed game makes me really happy because that means they did something to stand out. Because Need for Speed is kind of like Assassin's Creed. It's always there.
I think the next big standout thing that we did talk about, and I'm sure we're going to get to on our channel at some point, was A Way Out.
This is the one that I think stole the conference. This stole EA's conference. This is what everybody was talking about.
Happiest surprise.
Because the next one we're going to talk about there wasn't really much there about it. But yeah, I was watching. So when EA was going on, it was my grandma's 90th birthday, so I was hanging out with family, and my mom kept yelling at me because I kept looking at my phone. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "EA's going on." She's like, "I don't give a shit." So I was looking, and me and my brother were sitting there, and we're watching on my phone, and I see this, and I can't hear the audio because I have it turned down because family.
Yeah.
I don't have my headphones with me because I left them at home. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, what is this game? Like, is this a game I know? Is this something new? Like, and it says A Way Out, and I tried to Google it. It hadn't been up yet because they're still presenting it. And once I found out what it was, I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" Like I immediately thought of our channel.
Yeah,
like immediately I was like, "This would be perfect for us."
I mean, it looked like there's been a lot of 2-player co-op games that look stylistically similar to that. Like Kane and Lynch comes to mind, and a couple other ones. But this is by the maker of Brothers, and not only did this dude like fucking love his game, like he was up on stage like, "This is the greatest game," but it looks conceptually very interesting. The fact that at some points like one of you could be in a cutscene while the other one is playing the game, and you have to help out the other person. And it doesn't appear that you're going to be in the prison for the entire game. It looks like you're going to break out pretty quickly, and then you'll be like out in an open environment. And it almost at that point starts to look like a Naughty Dog game.
My only concern is how big is the game? I don't want to have expectations.
I don't think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a succinct experience, but I think because of the co-op, it'll be more enjoyable.
And it is mandatory co-op. Yeah. Just FYI.
Mandatory co-op kind of sucks, but
But it is local and online, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe it's both. I'm not 100% sure on that.
That's not
so. And then the next one, we already talked about it, but Anthem.
Yeah, it got its teaser at the EA conference.
That's why I feel like EA. Again, I feel like Microsoft and Bethesda or Sony gypped Ubisoft and Bethesda because they had their big thing.
Yeah, but it was teased at the EA press conference, and they went on to say that there'd be
more Microsoft, versus Bethesda that didn't.
No, they didn't
do that.
They didn't tip their hat at all. But then they finished off strong with a solid half-an-hour presentation of Battlefront 2. And what did you think?
This is the game, like Destiny, I was like, fuck Destiny because it burned me. This is the game where Battlefront 1 burned me so much, but this game looks like it's doing everything right that it did wrong the first game. I'm like, fuck, because I don't want to buy it day one.
To just about everybody.
I'm so debating on pre-ordering it or getting it day one because they're fixing a lot of the shit I had issues with.
Yeah.
Mainly the star cards and single player doesn't mean a lot to me, but I know for a lot of people it does. But the fact that they have that and the fact that
the single player, the campaign was a huge add. I think the heroes are utilized a lot more sensibly. Yes. I think alongside the heroes, allowing you to use your battle points on other things like vehicles and customization. I think the prequel stuff. That's the best that thing's ever looked. It looked great.
Like that was the weirdest part. Is like this is better looking than the movies.
Look great. Yeah,
I was like,
it actually made me give a shit about the prequels. That's what I was
say. Most people like I don't care about the prequels because they sucked, and quite honestly, they did. But I was like, those are great characters, and it's. I wonder if
Jar Jar Binks be a hero.
I mean. I don't think so. Potentially, but I wonder if this will skew people's vision of the prequels that didn't actually watch the prequels, but they know it based on this game.
Maybe
that'd be quite interesting. But it's a social experiment.
The aerial play and the fact that some of the battles are very much 3 stages, so you can change the gameplay from one stage to the next stage, very similar to like a Battlefield game. And I thought all the lights and sounds and graphics were all perfect.
It's Star Wars.
They did that a really amazing job. Biggest announcement though was that every post DLC would be free. Which I thought was huge for a company that nickel and dimed the shit out of the last Star Wars game.
So I got to put a caveat there. All the DLC is free, but there are microtransactions.
Yeah, but the microtransactions hopefully aren't like levels and things like that.
No, they're not.
Assuming they're just going to
be the I don't know if I have it or not on here, but
I just think that when they definitely listened. They definitely knew that they pieced out too much with the season pass, all the other stuff, and certain players got cut off from other players, and it's.
I'm gonna find their press release because they said it really well in here.
But I thought it was really, really cool. And I'm excited that so much so, and as a guy that really did not enjoy the first game like at all, I'm very, very much considering picking up this game because of that.
Maybe it's not in here. Maybe I missed it.
That's fine.
But anyways, the other thing is FIFA. They announced FIFA on the Switch.
Yeah,
that's another thing that's coming. Which
that's big. That's pretty big.
It's a big deal. I don't care about it myself.
I might even buy FIFA on a Switch. You know, I like FIFA a lot, but it's something that I never really get time to sit down and play. So if I can take it with me wherever I go, then that's actually kind of tempting. I think I would be tempted to pick that up for the Switch. The price has to be right, of course, and it depends on whether they're doing. Is it new FIFA?
FIFA 18.
Yeah, so that's impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, maybe it's on IGN, so I can't find it. But basically, I'm gonna summarize what I saw. But basically, it was they didn't want to split their player base. All maps are free. But microtransactions to buy the credits to what do they call them? Battle points.
Battle points.
To buy those to get things, but they also said that it won't be a pay to win, which I don't know how I feel if you can buy like weapons and stuff like that. How serious that is.
Hopefully, it's just cosmetic.
But they also said you can everything that you can buy with a microtransaction you can get in game. It's just it's always that balance of like how much you have to grind. And what they said basically, if you play the game. Say you're one of those people that play the game every day or maybe 4 times a week. You are not going to have an issue getting the stuff you want.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people that jump in maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, a casual gamer, then you want to pay to get that stuff. Then I'm cool with it. Like the way they phrased it, I want to see kind of obviously how much it is and that how easy it is.
EA is king of the microtransactions, so it just kind of depends on how they pull it off. But
yeah, but I was super excited.
EA's conference was tepid to begin with. It like you had talked about in the predictions ones. It wasn't really part of E3, even though it kind of was. It was the Saturdays all by itself.
Play.
There was nothing else going on that day. There was all by the lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next big conference that came out aside from Microsoft was Bethesda, and Bethesda ended on was it a Saturday night conference or Friday night conference? I can't remember. Anyway,
it was Sunday night.
So Bethesda, Sunday night. You're right. So Bethesda started out pretty strong in the VR section with Doom, VFR. And if you're wondering what the F stands for, it's exactly what you think.
I didn't know.
If you're not a Doom fan, there's a gun in Doom called the BFG, which stands for Big Fucking Gun. So I'm assuming that VFR stands for V fucking R. Who knows? But yeah, Doom. This divided us a little bit.
There you go, Tom. Now is your time. Now is the time to give your grievances because I'm going to give my.
This divided us,
counter.
And I know that you have a counter argument, and I know that because I've been going through the r/PSVR forums, and I really don't want to get too much into this in our main podcast because I think this is a conversation better held for Friday's episode. But I was severely let down by the teleportation as the main metric of movement in Doom VFR. And the fact that Fallout 4 just was not coming to PSVR like that,
and this was before we knew Skyrim.
That I could swallow a little bit, and yes, Skyrim definitely made up that one. But for Doom VFR, like I've never been the biggest Doom fan. Like I like the first Doom when it first came out. The new one that came out, I haven't played it. There's nothing about it that's drawing me in and saying play it. I did the multiplayer beta, which I hated.
Multiplayer is the worst part of that.
But
game,
I know
apparently.
that a lot of people really love the new Doom, and so this is like. I don't know if this is a full experience. I believe someone said it was only $30, which means to me that it's not going to be a full experience.
Yeah,
it's going to be just like a couple levels. And the teleportation thing, even though it looks like it might be smoother than previous teleportation ones where you're not just like picking an area, you are actually like choosing a place on the floor that you want to move to. I think it completely takes you out of the game. And me personally, I'm not a fan, but I know that there is a
my quick counter argument to that is 2 things. One, motion sickness. You don't get motion sick very easy in VR, I've come to learn, versus like I feel like I'm your average person where I can stomach it, but usually about like the hour-ish mark is when I'm like I got to get out of the headset, otherwise I'm gonna get if I'm doing something active. If I'm sitting like when I play Werewolves, I'm fine because I'm just moving my head. But even then, I still have a few moments where I'm like, oh. The second thing is Doom is such a fast game that even if you made it the same speed, you would be fucked. Period.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily would. I feel like I can move pretty fast in VR right now without any real consequences.
Have you watched to see have you seen how quick, because Doom can go up to 120, 240 frames per second.
I know, but it's a VR experience. They could slow that down. They don't have to keep it the same as the original Doom game.
But then people complain that it's not Doom because it's slow.
It's not Doom. It's a VR version of Doom, so it doesn't have to be like the original Doom.
Then why would you put the Doom license on it?
Because
it's Doom.
Because it has Doom gameplay.
So
it doesn't have to be as fast as the PS4
So then my argument to that, here we go, rabbit hole, is if you're one that you love Resident Evil because it's flat and it's VR, same game, why does this one get a pass then? Because it's got Doom on it. Why don't they just make it the Doom game and put it in VR?
I would like it if they did that. But the thing about this that I think you're missing is that Resident Evil gave you the option. Like, they didn't give you teleportation as an option, but they gave you enough options that you could be comfortable. And Doom is not giving me the option. Like, if you think that locomotion is going to make me sick, at least let me have the option. If it makes me sick, it makes me sick. But then if you have this perfect teleportation way of doing it, then leave it in there. Make it a selection for gamers that want to be able to travel that way. But give me the option to go balls to the wall crazy if I want to, because that's how I personally like to enjoy games. So I feel like I don't want to force all the teleportation fans to not do teleportation. I just want them to add an option for me to be able to do my way of playing it so I can enjoy it as much as everyone else.
Or maybe they tested it and 9 out of 10 people threw up.
Well, maybe. So. That's up in the air, but yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, and we'll get into it more on Friday. But that let me down a touch. But again, it's more for PSVR, so I'm not going to complain as much. I mean, I will still take a look at it. I might even play it, but I definitely will have tempered expectations of this game now. And then they went into something that you're a big fan of, which is ESO. You want to talk about Horns of the Reach and Clockwork City?
I didn't really catch what it was other than new
Morrowind content.
Yeah, it was like new things, which I'm assuming I'm going to have to buy it with crowns. Like, I
think it's going to be similar to like Orsinium and stuff, where it is crown based. I don't know how much crowns it'll be, but there are two that they announced as big upcoming expansions. I don't know if they were. I think they were based mostly in Morrowind, but I'm not sure.
Well, Clockwork City is, because I've been there.
And then Horns of the Reach was the other one. But again, I mean, any extra things. ESO is good ESO.
Oh yeah, I it's really weird with that game because, as you know, I've been playing the crap out of it. I've been super hyped for Morrowind. Morrowind's now come out, and I feel like...
How are you enjoying it?
I like it, but I like it, but at the same time, I'm getting... The beginning of the story then leads into the main story, but the first story mission changed. Just FYI. So if you've got it, so go ahead. When you play that first story mission, it's changed.
Okay.
But what's really weird to me is because this is obviously my third time playing this game. I know what happens in the story, so I'm not pulled in there, and I very rarely play games over again. It's nice being a new character and a new person in a new environment, and I love the new Morrowind stuff. Two complaints I have with Morrowind: one, it's impossible to fucking get around because that damn mountain's in the way. And the travel system's not as good. I also may not have all the way shrines unlocked, but I did do a lap around it and try to find as many as I could. And I'm trying not to pull up guides to find stuff. Two, a lot of the things that they had on the mainland are in, like, sky shards are in different positions than they are on whatever it's called, Vandefall, whatever. Vandefeld, whatever it's called. Morrowind area.
Yeah.
And, like, I could go into a delve or something and be like, so the sky shard's going to be in this area. Now I feel like they're fucking hiding it from me, which is good and bad. It's good because it makes you look around the delve, but I'm like last night we were playing, I can't find it, and I had to look up online where it was, and it was an area I would not have stumbled upon, which I have an issue with that.
But I think that a lot of ESO players love that sense of exploration and not being so easy and in your face. They like to...
I agree, but I should be able to see it somewhere and be able to, like, okay, it's there, how do I get there? Versus this one was, so the thing was, you come in, you turn left, or you turn right, you turn left, and then there's a Y where the cavern is like this big, your character's this big, so like you barely just fit through this cavern. You wouldn't go down there because there's nothing down there in your when you're looking. There's no enemies. It kind of looks like an area was supposed to be blocked off, but wasn't all the way. And it's just like I didn't think to go down there, and none of us thought to go down there because, like, why would we go? It's a dead end, and that's where the sky shard was. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But I'm enjoying it. I just it's more ESO, which I'm a fan of, but at the same time it's really weird because I'm not as into it as I thought I would be, because once you get past the first story mission, it's the same thing. So the area is fun to explore. The area is beautiful, a lot more life to it. the fucking quests are what drive me crazy. I find myself going from one end of the map to the other, and I feel like it's more of just, again, traveling is hard, and they make you travel a lot.
Yeah.
And that's my big complaint with it right now. If they either put another way shrine put other way shrines in certain areas, or make it so it's easier to run across the terrain. You can't go straight line because Volcano's there, so you got to run around and like make it quicker. So,
welcome to the struggles of the old Morrowind gamers.
It's dumb.
Then they announced this cool kind of mod thing. Creation
Cool
Club.
is debatable. People are pissed about this.
Yeah.
Paid mods is what a lot of people are saying, and I kind of want to pull up. I think we have what they said about it, but I'm not sure. But they, Bethesda did a few.
Well, they basically partnered with a bunch of people that are high-level modders in the community and said, hey, is there any way we can just like bring you guys into the fold and allow your mods to be released in a very particular way? So they had this Creation Club thing. And the way they announced it was a little kind of like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I see new content as a good thing, whether it's paid or not. I mean, they did work. I don't understand why we can't give them money for them if they're really good mods.
Yeah, I agree. But you cool, because this is real short. You cool if I read this just so it'll clarify a lot of the questions people have.
Let's do it.
What is Creation Club? Creation Club is a collection of all new content for both Fallout 4 and Skyrim. It features new items, abilities, gameplays created by Bethesda Studios and outside development partners, including the best community creators. Creation Club content is fully curated and compatible with the main game and official add-ons. What types of content will be included in Creation Club? Creation Club will feature a wide variety of content, including, but not limited to, weapons, new weapons, material skins, parts, etc., apparel, new outfits, armors, and items for your character, world, which I think that's kind of cool, new locations, decorations, foliage, etc., characters, new abilities, character companions, etc., creatures, new enemies, mounts, pets, etc., gameplay, new types of gameplay like survival mode, etc. What platforms will it support? It'll be available in summer 2017 on PS4, Xbox One, and PC for Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition, which is interesting because on PC it doesn't support the base Skyrim game. How do I get the Creation Club content? It'll be available in-game digital marketplace in both Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition and purchased with credits. Credits are available to purchase on PSN, Xbox Live, and Steam. Your credits are transferable and can be used in both games on the same platform.
So these are different to crowns.
Correct. These are just their currencies.
But that's the bucks.
Yeah, there's the currencies. Can I be a creator, whether you're professional? Yeah, you can just sign up a partner. Dev process are paid for their works. Just like our own developers, creators are paid for their work and start receiving payments as soon as their proposal is accepted through the development milestones. Is Creation Club paid mods? This is the most important one. No. Mods will remain free and an open system where anyone can create and share what they'd like. Also, we won't allow any existing mods to be retrofitted into Creation Club. It must be all original content. Most of Creation Club content is created internally with some external partners who have worked on our games and by some external creators. Also, content is approved, curated, and taken through the full dev cycle, including localization, polishing, and testing. This also guarantees that all content works together. We've looked at many other ways to do quote-unquote paid mods, and the problems outweigh the benefits. We've encountered many of those issues before, but there's a constant demand from our fans to add more official high quality to our games, and we are here to be able to create a lot of it, but we think many in our community have the talent to work directly with us and create some amazing new things.
There you go.
So it is paid mods, and the argument there is...
Well, they're saying, no, it's not paid mods.
Creation Club is not. I mean, you're getting paid for your mod, but it's not everybody in the system.
Right.
So the argument there is, I've always got them for free. Why do I have to pay for them? Donations. Creator standpoint, I agree. I think people should get paid for their work.
Yeah.
The counter argument to that is, how do you determine price? And that's why I think this is good for Bethesda coming in and say, hey, if you're going to be on here, I'm sure they're going to have like price structures for things. Like if you are a skin, you can't be more than $2 or whatever it is. Like, that's just hypothetical.
It all depends on the implementation as to how successful it is and how kind of rip-offy it is or isn't.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think it's definitely a semi-decent idea with some potentially big pitfalls, but we won't know until we
I've seen some people super pissed about it, and I'm like, it's a cool idea, and I like it, and I mean, more things, the better.
I think for console gamers as well, though, it's like they never really were into the world of modding before these last two games, so for them, it's almost like they're not really...
The big argument I've I've seen, and I'm like, I don't agree with it, is I paid $60 for the game. Why am I paying more to add to it? And I go, do you buy DLC? Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
Fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of
it's
like,
more interesting than DLC because it's made by people that are not necessarily the main creators of the game.
Yeah, and a lot of it depends on to what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing is and it's optional. Like you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. I think it's going to come down to the price of the mod. If everything's like $15, that's not going to do well. If there's some that are like $3,
couple dollars here, a couple dollars there.
I think from 3 to 30, depending on what it does. If it's a whole new world, that's a Disney reference. It's a whole new world in Fallout. Like if you add like a section of the map,
fantastic point of view.
Yes, if you add a new fantastic point of view, then I think it'd be worth like what I would pay for a DLC for fucking like I paid $40 for Morrowind. That's a new world with things inside of it.
Yeah,
like. I think that's worth it. I do understand kind of the backlash of people like, why is this a thing? Why am I paying more for Bethesda? But I think that's BS.
I'm very much wait and see on it. I'm happy to have more content. I'm not the biggest like, pay for this, pay for that. Like I don't care that much. If it's worth it, I'll pay for it. But it just depends if it's worth it or not. And I guess we'll find out. Most exciting announcement.
One more thing on that.
Go ahead.
The fact that it has to be new mods.
Yeah.
Is what makes me excited.
Has to actually be OC. Yeah. But my most exciting announcement of this press conference, which honestly says a lot,
really,
was the Elder Scrolls Legends card game.
Really? Of all the things they announced?
It's getting Dark Brotherhood and Skyrim added, and it's coming to the iPhone and the Android phone, because previously it had been a tablet-only affair. And I like card games, man. I like Hearthstone a lot. I don't think they gave a date for it. They just said this year. But I like card games a lot, and I always wanted to play an Elder Scrolls card game. So as nerdy as that fucking is, I'm totally pumped that I'll be able to do that on my iPhone, because I really like Hearthstone a lot, and I think it'll be cool. Just because it's the type of game that I can play on a phone.
Oh yeah,
I'm not a big phone gamer, so
I'm not a big
okay with that.
Card gamer at all. But I mean, with the Elder Scrolls skin, you know how much I've gotten into this recently, and it's just like I'm super. I would try it. It all depends on how much it is.
They're honestly a lot more fun than you think they are for the most part. But
that's the thing.
They
is
tend to have like a lot of like, buy a pack of cards. It's a very interesting kind.
This is coming from the guy that fucking plays Frozen Freefall and is on level like 400.
There you go.
So like I'm part of the problem when it comes to shitty mobile games. But I'm gonna see here if we got a.
You're an Ubi right now.
Oh.
You would want to be in
Bethesda.
Probably. While you're looking that up, they also announced, of course, that Zelda's Link was going to be in the Switch version of Skyrim, which we touched on previously, but that was a nice little bonus. Dishonored gets a new DLC, too.
Quickly, on the Link thing.
Sure. Looks weird as shit.
I like it because that sets Skyrim... It's literally, if you look at what they have inside of the press kit, it is called Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Switch.
Yeah.
So it sets it apart, and it's like, why would I, other than the portability, like, it adds something to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
It's a silly thing to add, but at the same time, for Nintendo fans, they love this type of shit. They love skins. They love all that extra jazz. Link looks weird as hell in the world of Skyrim, but the fact that you get to use a Master Sword is just kind of hilarious.
Yes. I wonder what it's going to be. It's got to be two-handed.
Yeah. Dishonored got a new DLC, Dishonored 2, and it's called Death of the Outsider. The original Dishonored game brought in a character, Billy, with DLC, and she became sort of a bigger part of the lore there, and a lot of people really liked her. She was a fan favorite. And then on top of that, with this
apparently it's available
DLC,
now, by the way.
Oh, is it?
But it could be available now on iOS or on tablets.
Look great. I mean, if you're into Dishonored, it looks like a big DLC. The Outsider is a big part of that lore and history, and a lot of people are maybe a little bit nervous that the Outsider is actually going to get killed in this game, but it looks like a decently big bump of DLC. Dishonored is a very popular game, so we'll wait and see what that looks like. But the trailer was pretty epic. It was a good time. I'm pretty pumped on that. And while you're still searching, I'll continue.
Well, I'm trying to figure out which one, because they have all the languages up here. I'm like, where's English?
Okay.
That's literally what I'm doing right now.
So, Quake Champions came out, and Quake Champions looks to be
That game is
bit of a mishmash, doesn't it?
Intriguing. I don't know where it quite fits in.
It's almost like they took some lessons from Overwatch, mixed it with old school Quake, super speedy gameplay, and just tried to make an esport out of it. Like they just said, we are making this game for esports, and they kind of hyped that up a lot during the conference as well. Like this is purely like we're making this so other people will play it for money, and they have a Quake tournament coming up and everything. But Quake was like, it was always a fun game, but the thing about Quake that kind of set it apart was that it was just like one of the first. It wasn't necessarily one of the best. It was, I mean, at the time it was because it was one of the first. But like, it was a game that had a strong multiplayer community because it was a fast-paced FPS game. But I think we've come so far with the types of games that we're doing at esports now, and that all these kind of extra things like Overwatch, which just perfected that kind of MOBA genre, that I don't know if anyone wants this, like, or needs this. It looks okay, but
Overwatch is just so good. Sorry, I found it. June 29th release date for everything, coming summer 2017 for phones.
There you go.
No price on here that I see.
But it looks like a good time, that card game. I'm in.
Yeah.
Next up was not a surprise. It was something that we had previously mentioned as potentially coming out, and it did come out, and the trailer was really good. That was Evil Within 2, which got Friday the 13th.
They picked a good day to release it.
Yeah, Friday the 13th in October, and
I'm not going to be playing this game.
Not surprised. I didn't like the first game that much. I'll be honest. Like, I'm a big survival horror guy. I'm a horror guy in general. You know me. But at the same time, like, the first Evil Within, there was just something about it that didn't click with me. I don't know what it is. I probably need to go back and revisit it. But I played like 20, 30 minutes, and I was in some part where I had to do some stealthy stuff, and I couldn't fucking do it to save my life. And I was just like, you know what? I'm fucking done. I'm not having fun at this point. And then I never picked it back up again. So even though the story does look fantastic, the trailer looks fantastic, the monsters are fantastic.
Scary looking.
I don't know if I'll be looking at
By the way,
this.
Peter Moore is the Xbox guy. I just had that moment of
There you go.
who it was. Like, who the fuck is the other Xbox guy? Sorry.
And then,
next one I'm excited about.
Next one was a big one.
Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Yeah.
I have Wolfenstein games. I've not finished either of them because I don't fucking finish games. Story of my life. But this one had a really long reveal.
The reveal was fantastic.
Yes.
I'll say that. It was probably the best trailer of the entire...
And as you know, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to preface it saying it's not going to sound like what I say, but I'm fascinated with Nazi Germany. And anything that comes out with Nazi Germany attached to it, like even fucking Call of Duty is like... The fact that it's doing World War II is like, fuck, I kind of am interested, but it's Call of Duty, so I'm not going to play it. I'm excited about this. Like... When you're standing there in the diner or whatever it is, and the guy comes up to you, and I was like, dude, you got the swastika, and you're an SS person, like, that is terrifying because, first of all, this game is not banned in Germany, but they cannot use the swastika. They cannot use any sort of Nazi symbolism. It's outlawed in Germany. But this looked amazing. The part that got me was the dude on LSD.
While they were in a gunfight.
Yeah, I was just like...
It definitely... So here's the thing. I played the original Wolfenstein.
Which is the original? Is it New Order? Or is it what's the official first one? Because there's New Order and there's another one.
I think the New Order was the first one, and then they did like a Blood one. The Blood one was after. I can't remember what the full title of that was.
Yeah,
the New Blood, I think it was actually. But
that's it. So because I started playing the first one.
Yeah, that was the actual
New Order.
The New Order was like was the first sort of re-release of it.
Which makes sense because this is the new
Wolfenstein Wolfenstein was pre-Doom. Like it was the first ever FPS was Wolfenstein. I think it was called like Castle Wolfenstein, but I could be wrong. And so I looked at it. The trailer looked fantastic. It looked very almost Fallout-y to me. I was really hoping it was going to be something different than Wolfenstein. I was kind of aiming for it to be the Starflight or whatever. So
I'm cool with it. I mean, like I said, I'm intrigued by it.
I just saw recently, actually, PlayStation put up a huge sale today. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out yet, but pretty much every game ever is on sale. So, like, you can get the original... Because they didn't have sales last week. Well, yeah. You can get the original Wolfenstein and the new one for $10
Is it the E3 sale? Because they always do an E3 sale.
I guess, yeah. It looked like very E3 focus.
Yeah, they do E3 sales.
So
usually.
I might pick them up and give them another shot. I don't want to feel like I've been too harsh on that game, but I just I wasn't really into the first one. So which is it's rare for me because it's a decent they did a decent attempt.
By the way, Death of the Outsider is not DLC; it's its own game.
Oh, really?
I know you saw. That's what I was looking up. looking up the information before, but it is its own.
I didn't
It's a standalone. It's not its own game, but it's a standalone. It's kind of like Uncharted.
That's awesome.
Where it's standalone, so it's not add-on.
I will touch on one thing because that's Bethesda. Bethesda did okay. The Bethesda land thing was weird.
I really love that.
You
So
did?
from a presentation standpoint, I think Bethesda destroyed it. Other than I think Sony was the best presentation wise, and then Bethesda was second because they had a theme. They followed it. They went with it, and I loved it because that is so them. Like when I think of Bethesda, that 40s voice from Fallout, like
quirky
that
humor
clicks in. Like I don't know. I really liked it.
I was just like. I think the only reason why I didn't enjoy Bethesda's conference as much is because I compared it to last year. And last year, Fallout 4 was the huge reveal, all the stuff that went into Fallout 4, and the fact it was like, oh, it's out in a couple months was just huge. And I think this year they focused on some very interesting aspects. Like Fallout VR looks amazing.
Fallout 4 wasn't last year. Fallout 4 was 2 years ago.
Well, whatever it was. But I feel like I think it was last year.
Was it? I don't remember.
But I just feel like it wasn't quite everything I was looking for. It was decent, nothing to yell from the rooftops, like a lot of sequels to stuff that we kind of were like, all right. But I think everyone was waiting for that new IP, and when they didn't release it, everyone was just like,
yeah, it's a year of Matt. That's how you sum up E3. Like the presentation style was amazing. Content, there's probably 3 things on that they announced that I'm excited about. I mean, Wolfenstein, ESO shit, and even VR I'm not as excited about. Like that's it.
If Fallout was there, I'd be way more excited.
And then Zelda and Skyrim's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
there was one thing I wanted to bring up from the PC gaming conference. I didn't watch the whole thing because frankly we're not really PC gamers, but they did bring up something which is actually going to be an all system expansion, which I thought was worth mentioning because it's a game that we played before. That is XCOM 2. XCOM 2 is getting a big expansion.
Is that expansion Mario Rabbids Kingdom
that would be great.
Battle?
No, this is a huge expansion. It's twice the size of the previous XCOM expansion, which I believe was the Evil Enemy Unknown or something like that. And it's called War of the Chosen. And basically, it's like introduces 3 new antagonists and a bunch of other like cool protagonist stuff you can do. Like you can make different types of soldiers and stuff. And it looks really, really cool. And it's coming out August 29th on all systems, which is the reason I bring it up because it wasn't just a PC exclusive. They just happened to announce it at the PC,
which is weird because I guess they have nowhere else to announce it.
Yeah, there wasn't anywhere else I think that was like wanting to waste space on that. And the PC conference was dull as fuck. So that was the only standout part I had. I
didn't watch the PC one.
A lot of people didn't, which is why I thought I mentioned it.
Yeah. Also, Devolver Digital had something going on that was kind of funny to watch. I watched part of that. It was real dumb.
Devolver, cool.
Yeah.
And then lastly, this is our last conference, and it was probably the best of the third-party conferences, I think we can agree.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's way better than last year.
Our buddies Eve Levine and Ubi, they dropped Aisha Tyler as their host, and they dropped all the stupid jokes, and they actually just went straight for the jugular, and I think they did really well.
They started out with fucking Shigeru Miyamoto walking out on stage, and I go, oh shit. Yeah. I think I made a Facebook status of like, anything Shigeru Miyamoto touches, I become interested immediately. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. He could fucking he's like, I'm going to give you a piece of poop. I was like, oh, I'm interested in that piece of poop now because Shigeru Miyamoto's involved.
Miyamoto coming out was definitely one of the more awkward moments of the conference with him and Eve Levine, but at the same time, they announced a wonderful game, which was Mario Rabbids. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
So at first when they showed it, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm excited. And then they fucking showed the gameplay. I was like, that's not what I expected it to be. Like, that was when I went, oh, this is something funny.
Speaking of XCOM, that game just looks exactly like it in the Super Mario artsy style.
Which is what I love.
Really exciting. I'm all aboard for that. I will 100% be picking that up for the Switch as soon as it's available, which is August 29th.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And then, of course, they touch on Assassin's Creed, but we won't go into that. We already talked about that in the Microsoft conference. What did you think of The Crew 2?
I don't know. It's a big game. Yeah. I'm excited about it, but the first one wasn't very good. So that's the problem. It's the Battlefront thing again, where it's like, I'm excited about what you're saying now, but what you did before does make me excited.
Right.
So like, I'm basing it based.
I mean, Ubisoft has come from a semi-decent game to an amazing game with the Assassin's Creed franchise, but I feel like that this one It definitely looked intriguing. The fact that they were focused very much on like U.S. motorsports, the fact that they had airplane, they had sea, they had bikes, they had like AVs.
I think
they had all kinds of shit.
The big issue I had is they didn't show me the game loop I'm doing. They showed me all the stuff I will be doing, but they didn't show me how I would be doing it when it comes to like
in terms of how it's laid out,
do planes, cars, and boats all race in the same race? I'm gonna guess no.
Yeah.
But is that possible? How do you get there? What is point A to point B? What is the goal of the game? Like the trailer was it's early 2018, so they have time to show us some more stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't mad about it. I'll say that. I wasn't pumped on it, but I wasn't mad about it.
I'm in that intrigued area where I need to see a little bit more to make my decision, but I got my eye on it.
Okay.
So.
And then South Park came out. I wasn't expecting them to show up, to be honest, because of the delay and everything. But they came out with the fractured butthole, and they gave a release date, which is October 17. But
they already had that release date.
They also tagged on another game, though. Did you see that part?
Yep, Phone Destroyer.
Phone Destroyer, which looked interesting.
Anything South Park people do, I fall in love with because it's hysterical.
Yeah, I would definitely be picking it.
It sucks because I'm like, I played Stick of Truth. I love Stick of Truth, and I want this game. It keeps getting delayed, and it's one of those things where it's like, depending on if it comes out in October, like what else is coming out in October that's gonna bury it is the other thing there. But like, I'm gonna play it at some point. It's gonna be in that backlog of games that at some point I'm gonna go through and clear out. Probably not. But I want to play it, and I love South Park. And then the phone game, I was like, it's again. As dumb as it is, I love those little experiences. Like I said, I played fucking Frozen Freefall, and I'm over 400, and I played Fallout Shelter when it came out.
This one looks like it actually might be pretty in-depth as far as phone games go. I was pleasantly surprised.
You can get text from Cartman. That was a thing.
Yeah, FaceTime from Cartman. So I'm cool with that. And then we have, of course, the VR reveal that nobody was expecting from Ubisoft, which is for a game called Transference. And I will say, I'm going to take half credit for this. Elijah Woods presented the Transference VR. I did say he would be there to present. I just meant for a different game. But I'm going to take half credit, the fact that I guessed he would be there. But yeah, it looked great. I thought Transference looks like definitely better than the movie or Transcendence that I was thinking. It kind of remind me of a little bit, that Johnny Depp movie. But it looks
because they didn't show a whole hell of a lot of it.
Well, it looks like you're supposedly like in a mental hospital, and it's a recreation of some kind of an ancient experiment. I'm hoping it's not like the MK Ultra experiments, because that would be terrifying. But yeah, it's basically just
they broke the fourth wall a lot during that. Which I liked.
Super utilizing the video aspects of it. It looks like it could be really creepy and done really well. And if Elijah Woods is involved, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good game.
This next one is the one that got me super excited.
This is the one
where it's like
should be.
Yeah, this is what's going to kill Sea of Thieves. Two reasons: one, it's not platform specific, and two, it looks like it's actually going to be fun.
We touched on this earlier, but yeah, the game is Skull and Bones, and that is basically from the team that made, or sort of, I should say, imported the seafaring battle into Black Flag. They took that and that sort of thing, and they broke it off, and they made a pretty interesting looking pirate game.
Mm-hmm. They didn't give a date for it, I don't believe, but I need to see a little bit more when it comes to what I'm doing in that game, because it looked like a lot. If it's just sea battles, I think it'll get real boring.
Yeah.
But are you a character? Like, do you have roles? Like,
I think a lot of it is like getting loot and stuff. So I assume if you can go off island, and they said it was a tactical action game. Mm-hmm. Also, it's shared systemic world, and there's different seasons that you go through. So I wonder if that's like seasons in game, or if it's like Division Season 1, Division Season 2. But shared systemic world is interesting. I thought it looked interesting. I was never a big fan of the naval battles in Assassin's Creed.
See, I'm super hyped for this.
I don't know. Like I'm on the fence. If it turns out to be a good streaming game, I would pick it up for streaming purposes only. But I don't think I would play it. I'm
super hyped. Like, this is the one when they announced it, I go, oh hell yeah! Like, thank you.
Definitely.
I didn't know. Well, my first reaction was, what the hell is this? My second reaction was, oh sweet. So.
And then we had your Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is basically an excuse to sell toy ships, like from what I could tell.
I love that though.
You do?
Like, I hate the toys to life thing. Two things. One, I like the fact that they did both digitally and physically, so you could if you just wanted the game, you could buy the ships digitally. I wonder how much they're going to be. That's the only concern I have there. But like, toys to life stuff, I did Disney Infinity. I was kind of disappointed just because the gameplay sucked, but like Skylanders does really well. I don't know if this is like, at first I was like, this is geared at kids, but then I was reading some stuff on Twitter and some stuff on Reddit, and they're like, no, I'm excited for this game as a 50-year-old man or 40-year-old man. Yeah. Like, this is cool. My initial impression when I saw it was No Man's Sky. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, immediately looked like No Man's Sky. I was like, don't do this to me. But what they touted here was kind of cool. So it's still a year away, fall 2018. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it.
Plenty of time to change it up. This is just a hard pass for me, but I can see how that people would really enjoy that. They kind of made resemblances to Transformers and things like that as far as collecting them, so that's cool. The fact that you also seem to be able to like swap out certain weapons and things like that if you do the same thing on your model was kind of interesting. Then they had a big expansion for Steep on the way, which actually makes the game more appealing.
Yeah.
Which is the Olympic expansion,
So
Road to the Olympics.
I've been real hard on this game.
You have.
And I got into the alpha, beta, whatever the fuck it was. Played it. Didn't like it. Thought it was garbage. Didn't understand why I don't have any sense of purpose on this mountain other than find new trails and share it with your friends. And if my friends aren't playing the game, why am I doing this? But this did look... Because it's races. It's things that it gives you a purpose for playing the game. And I thought it was a cool expansion.
Bunch of new modes.
Problem I have with it, though, is I got to buy the game to get the expansion. If this was like... If they just came out and said, by the way, for $30, you can get the Steep Olympic version, or fucking FIFA does it, where it's
More
like
tempting.
the World Cup version, like I would probably do that. But I don't know. It looks tempting. They didn't show much.
They didn't really talk about pricing or anything that I can remember. But,
No.
I mean, if you have that game already and you dig that game, it's a pretty solid expansion.
Yeah. I just personally don't like
They
it.
followed that up with something that was... This has been kind of a semi-controversial, not only game, but also just how well this was received, and that is the Far Cry 5 gameplay.
That trailer at the beginning with them singing Amazing Grace and holding the guns up, I texted you and said, this is going to stir some shit.
Yeah.
And from the communities I'm within, it stirred some shit.
Yeah.
Because it's... I remember growing up in church. I was high school, being in church and singing Amazing Grace or singing hymns and all that kind of stuff. And this, to me, was very much I understand it's a radical group using religion for that, but I had a lot of people that were like, this right now, and I'm gonna just put this out there, Christians right now I feel like are getting attacked for a lot of things because of the way the government's going, because of what's happening, and sometimes fairly, sometimes not, because a lot of the times it's the old white Christian that is getting blamed for a lot of the stuff. And I don't think that helps this. This does not help that environment at all, but I still stand behind the fact that this game should be allowed to be made, should not have any sort of censorship, and it's up to you to decide whether you want to play it. I'm probably going to play it. I'm intrigued by it. The weirdest part to me, though, about this gameplay was it's such a serious theme with what you've got going on. And you fucking hit people in the head with baseball bats, you run people over with cars. Like, how's that going to fit in together? That's my concern.
I like that you have a dog.
Yeah,
That's pretty much my biggest takeaway.
I put that as like doggy.
Yeah. But it actually tempered my expectations a little bit.
It's Far Cry.
It made me less hyped on the game than I was when they first sort of announced those.
Oh, see, I
trailers.
was more.
But I'll still play it. I play all the Far Cries, and I personally don't buy into that whole religion under persecution stuff, obviously, but
yeah.
I could see how some people would be upset by it. I also don't care. So it looked okay. I think there was a couple of my friends that were like, you know what, that actually made me like less interested in the game than before. Yeah. Me personally, I'm just right about where I was.
I like that they showed off the different characters and the bombing with the airplane. You had was it a monster truck or something? No, you had the semi truck come plowing in. You had the sniper. Like, that was cool. I want to know because
co-op stuff looked great.
Because you can play co-op with your friends. Are you those characters if you co-op with somebody, or are you?
Don't know.
Like, that's one of the things I still have a question. That's one of the things I want to know is how that works. Obviously, it's coming out early next year. So
yeah.
I'm assuming, I have a feeling we'll see more of this at PSX.
And they ended the conference with a huge reveal for a game that's been a really long time in the making and probably the most, I would say, emotional presentation during the entire conference. The developer was in tears. And that is Beyond Good and Evil 2. It was a cinematic. There was no gameplay shown, which, is kind of to be expected for a game which I assume is still in early development. You had not played the original Beyond Good and Evil, and I have. And the original Beyond Good and Evil was definitely one of those games that will stick with you. It is a completely unassuming game. It looks like every other generic sort of adventure game, but it plays a lot like an old Rare game. There was tons of interesting mechanics as far as, like, you were a reporter, so you would be, like, taking pictures of shady things going on in a factory and then sort of sending those photos off, but you'd still be fighting. You'd still be in this kind of awesome, 3D arena, and you could go from, like, there were villages. You could go and collect things from certain people. You could control boats and all kinds of stuff. It was a really, really well thought out, depthful game. And even though the trailer for this one was a little bit silly with the English monkey, but
I loved that.
Yeah, I mean,
the characterization that they had in this between the monkey, the pig dude, and the lady. I don't know if any of them ever. They have names. I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
But like it was a really well done trailer to get me excited about it. My only concern is I'm just thinking of games that have been stuck in development hell, and how well they've not been received when they came out.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15, it was
tepid expectations. Again,
and this game is just starting development. That's the other thing. It's like they apparently just started.
If they pull it off in the same manner as the first game, it'll be a really, really good time. I hope it ends up looking similar in aesthetic to Ratchet and Clank, but just with the same fuller universe of the original Beyond Good and Evil. And apparently this game takes place before Jade from the original game is born, so there's definitely a lot of story to tell there. But I was really excited by this announcement as a fan of Beyond Good and Evil. And I kept sort of looking at it and going, is this Beyond Good and Evil? And I couldn't quite tell. And then in the end, I was like, oh.
See, I'm excited for it to see it, but like I said, I'm kind of tempering my expectations because of the Last Guardian, these ones that have been stuck for a while, and it's like even something like wanting fucking Ukulele to come out. Those old games sometimes don't translate well when they get modernized, so hopefully they do.
That's a fair assumption.
It's something I'm keeping my eye. It's one of those things I'm gonna keep my eye on and see how, because there's nothing there.
See how it progresses.
It's just it's a cinematic trailer.
I noticed it would
make a really good movie. By the way,
we did nail the stupid dance prediction. It was less stupid than it has been in previous years.
It was a lot shorter.
They got in some like fucking Jabberwockies or something to start it off, and then there was a weird pop moment there with some chick that I don't think anyone's ever heard of. But all in all, Ubi did really well. I think like with the showcases with the new Mario game, the little bit of Assassin's Creed looked actually better than the lot of Assassin's Creed that they showed at the Microsoft conference.
If you look at this kind
South
of
Park
the way everything went, like
Skull
they
and
had the get hype moment, talk about the game we already knew. The get hype moment, talk about the game we already knew.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle here, it's kind of like get hype DLC. I feel like between Transference is new. Skull and Bones is new. Starlink was new.
It was well paced, I think. I think they paced it well, and more importantly, they focused less on the cheesy usual Ubisoft garbage and more on the games. And I think that the game announcements that they had were solid. I do feel like they were stretching it with Beyond Good and Evil. It's nice to see that it's in production. I think that made a lot of people happy, but at the same time, there wasn't really a whole lot to show off there. So all in all, Ubi I think did the better of the third party conference. I'd say it would go Ubi then Bethesda than EA.
EA needs to figure their shit out. They're so corporate-y and boring.
Yeah, and that's the thing is EA always kind of tries to come across as being like for the gamers, but then they all come out looking like they just had a boardroom meeting.
They just decided how to put a keynote together.
They don't go for the Phil Spencer cool dad look. It's an interesting thing.
I mean, if we learned anything, I feel like Bethesda, when it comes to presentation, I feel like if I was going to base companies based on their presentation when it comes to personalities, Bethesda has the most personality. Sony is shortly behind them in the second with personality, because I think Sony's presentation was solid. I don't think it was as creative as Bethesda, having that theme and all that. And then EA would be the fucking uncle you don't talk to, you don't care about. The other thing with EA,
for every little bit of
the other problem EA has is they announce shit and people really they know what's coming.
They had a super awkward presentation as well. There were so many weird handoffs, and like the way they decided to do it, like with around this circle of people playing games and stuff, and they would like cut to the guy for the NBA thing, and then just as they were starting to get interesting, they'd cut away, and the guy that was playing the game gave his the interviewer guy like dagger eyes as he was leaving. It was just weird. It just wasn't a good way to start E3 in general.
It wasn't E3. It was EA Play.
Still,
it's part of E3.
Considered.
I know.
But
giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. All in all, to summarize everything, it was a good year. It wasn't a great year.
Yeah, solid presentations all around. I don't think there was any. Maybe other than EA, there wasn't any like.
But even EA had Star Wars Battlefront 2, and that had a great showing. So.
Yeah, but there wasn't any like bad.
Yeah, no one that
Showing
you
just
were just
nothing-
like, this is bullshit, you guys are lame.
I think Nintendo's the only one that really truly surprised everybody.
Yeah.
Period.
Nintendo came out and did exactly what they needed to do in
And
the
then
most
some.
spectacular fashion. Mario Odyssey looks great. Everything they came out with looked great. Ubisoft had a solid showing. Sony had a solid showing. Microsoft did pretty good. The Scorpio had a decent.
The problem Microsoft
first-
did is they try to show too much.
Yeah, too much, and then also like just not.
Sorry about the Microsoft section being long, but it's 42 fucking
It wasn't
games.
a super honed experience, but
No.
So I think, God damn, I feel like we've been going for a long time.
Yeah,
here.
if you're still with us, hi, welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry
you.
this
Thank
one
you.
went long, but it's E3 week. We only get to do this once a year, and normally we actually stream the conferences and talk about it before and after. But this time around, we decided that we would just do this as a big podcast. For
I also
you
had
before and
I also
after.
had family. It was grandma's birthday, so I was hanging out with my family. I'm hiding behind the microphone. Hi, everybody. Hey.
But yeah, it was a decent year. Excited to see what comes out towards the end of the year, and
we have PSX
which games
coming up.
here
Get
turn
delayed.
out to be as good as they looked, and
One of
which
my
ones were
predictions.
bullshit.
One of my predictions was three of them are going to get delayed.
Which ones were yours? Were they Sony or Xbox?
Sony. The problem is Sony didn't give any dates for anything,
Well,
so
there you
I'm
go.
kind of fucked.
Can't be delayed if you don't give a
Yeah,
date.
the only dates I have: Horizon DLC 2017, Monster Hunter early 2018, Shadow Colossus 2018,
God of War was early 2018 as well.
God of War early 2018, Marvel September 19th, Monster of the Deep September. So I have a few
You can
chances,
keep an eye on them.
but I don't think I'm gonna hit that one. Which is it's a good thing to say. It's just I wish it was a good thing to say if they actually
I
give
think
us
everyone
dates.
hopes that you're wrong.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
it's I'm wrong because by default they don't have any dates.
Alrighty, so thank you so much for joining us for our Super Mega Bumper E3 post finale podcast for the future. That's the official title, and we will be with you in our more regularly scheduled programming next week with just general bits and pieces.
Yep.
Hopefully you liked some of the new stuff we have going on here with the videos and things like that.
If you want to check out more, if you're interested in the VR stuff, I know we went over some of it, but not much in depth. Friday we will have our level 2 VR show, which will go more in depth into those games, into that kind of stuff, so you guys can get our full response to that and full opinions on it. But we touched that level here, but go check that show out. It's a lot of fun to make. We both firmly believe VR. We were excited when they announced Skyrim, when they announced Fallout 4 VR, when they announced, even though it's not coming to it, but the fact that it exists.
We're going
Doom,
to get into all of that this Friday, so if you're big on the VR, then tune in for that. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in for this. Thank you for listening at home. Thank you for watching. Again, to the audio listeners out there, we appreciate you so much. You will be getting a slightly better experience in the video format, though, if you did want to watch this again.
Because we will have all this shit behind us.
Because we will, yeah, we're going to input some B-roll and screenshots and things that we were shared with from the developers. So
that's my E3 dance.
Yeah, you got a lot of work to do in the editing suite for this one.
Oh, I've got it organized. I don't know if you can see this. I might put the screenshot up here so you guys can see what my hard drive looks like, but I've got it literally broken down to Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, WB, EA, Bethesda, and then Kingdom Hearts is just there because I didn't have anything else from Square.
Awesome.
And then Vampire, so. And then under there, it's all organized.
So that'll be your podcast for this week. Please like us and share us and talk about us and tell us that we're pretty. We really like that. And we will see you guys next week. But for now, as always,
welcome to the second level.
Bye.
Bye.